How y'all doing tonight? Welcome to Live from Mississippi. I know some of y'all will be watching this over the next couple of days after it is not live. So, let me get me pulled up here. See if there's any of y'all that want to talk to me tonight and what y'all have to say. It has been an eventful day here on the homestead. I started filming videos this morning. We've had a pig on the smoker today. Uh, I got basically a wild pig that I had in the freezer. I got the hind quarter out, fired the smoker up by 11. I've been smoking that, filming that video. We just pulled it off and took it inside and kind of did the pulled pork. So on that video, you won't see me sit down and have like a meal after, and say a prayer and eat and all that on camera too. We just pulled the pork and all that. Um, I got notifications popping up on the screen on my phone, so I have got this down so that I can keep up with comments as always. Next thing, I got in, dressed in my buckskin shirt, and went and found a whole. There's an area like an abundant of cardinal flower, and I couldn't stand it. I could see it from the road, so I went and picked a bunch of it today, more than I'll need for the winter and probably next winter too. So it was a blessing. That way I don't have to pick any of mine down here that's on the creek bank. I was blessed with that. Come in, got a phone call on the way home from picking that. Hey, your daughter's been in an accident. So, fortunate for me, I got to go get her. Car banged up, tore the front of the car all up. She's fine. She's okay. Nothing, not even a scratch. So, I give God thanks for that today. A lot of parents have got a phone call that didn't turn out so good. And when you put a young'un in a vehicle, it's bound to happen at some point. You just pray that the Lord takes care of them when it does. So we are blessed beyond measure. So anyway, thank all of you for joining and coming on to the Live from Mississippi tonight. We're going to have a good show, talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. This is the show where you decide how the show goes, ask questions, bring up topics, whatever. I don't get on here with the purpose I'm going to preach. However, we usually wind up preaching before it's over with. Let me adjust this camera just a little bit. I don't know. I like me being right in the center of the screen. I guess I think a lot of myself, don't I? Okay, Etsy store. Before we get into a whole lot of hey y'alls, stuff is popping up on the Etsy store right now. I have added one of the other face mugs. She's trying to get one glazed out there. We're held up on glaze. Potter's been held up. So I linked Southern Mud Pottery. It's southernmudpottery.net, I think. And it is our website. You can go on our website and order pottery. We are in a transition to where we've always did wholesale pottery. So we've opened the store up online to where it's open to the general public, where people from wherever can order pottery and then we ship it to you. Shipping pottery is a trick. The shipping is expensive if you order a bunch of it. One piece, not too bad. $20, for 2 or 3 pieces. $10 to ship, a regular, like a coffee mug, you can probably ship for $10. No big deal. So I've had several of you guys interested in our pottery. I would love for you to have pottery. I would love to send you pottery. And in the future, we would really like to get away from the wholesale because it's so overwhelming and you're selling everything at half price. However, when you're trickling out a sale here, there, and yonder, it's hard to make a living without them steady orders. So we'll probably always do a little bit of wholesale pottery. Depends on how this transition goes and how well, but I just wanted everybody out there to know you can go to and I linked I know I linked it to my Instagram. I'm not sure if it's linked in the bio to my personal YouTube page. If it's not, I will see about getting a link in my description. However, to where somebody wants to buy pottery, you can go in my description. But it's southernmudpottery.net, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, see, we got a pile of people on. I got my iPad up and it says it's not charging. I got a cord hooked to the bottom of it, and them cords, y'all know how this Apple stuff is. The cords, this is not an Apple cord. I bought this at the convenience store and it don't want to charge it, and it's on 30-something%. So we'll see how this goes. I may have to get up and go get me another cord for it after a while or something. I don't know. It's something about this doohickey. And this iPad, y'all, is old anyway. William C. Boyd, how are you? Nikki, how are you? Nikki and J.R. Willis, I'm sure J.R. is sitting there. Y'all need to go check out J.R. Willis's channel. I think Nikki has a channel too. J.R. is playing bluegrass music. Now, J.R. is authentically as country as I am. He is not putting on an accent. I seen somebody comment on his channel and he made mention that, oh, you stop with the act. I promise y'all it is not an act. JR is a good man. He is country as a turnip green and a fine guitar and banjo picker, among other things. He has an ear for music. Go check his channel out if you like good down-home bluegrass and country living. He's got a good show, and he's my good friend, lives, well, probably within 10 or 15 miles of me through the swamp over here. Jessica Wallington, hello. Brian Hughes, good to see you. Michigan Prepper, good to see you. Jimmy Sullivan, Jessica, Chris, Uncle Sasquatch, Casanova, Unchained, Mr. Larry Reese, how are you? Jamie Johnston, how you doing tonight? Backyard Beasley. Good to see all of you. Thank y'all for joining in tonight, and I'm sure there'll be a host of others that pops up. There's already some living legends on here tonight among Mr. Larry Reese and Uncle Sasquatch and different ones of you. Mr. Jimmy Sullivan, he lives not far from me over here. Thank y'all for joining. What do y'all, Mr. Kevin Wilson, good friend. Miss Sue, how are you? It's good to see all y'all popping up and your names on here. It's been a good day. The weather, y'all, here is kind of tapering off, and it's been cool. And I cut down my first pine tree to start the back patio. I did not film cutting the trees. I am not going to film any felling trees, and the reason is I don't do much safety around here. And I ain't gonna argue with people over it. They think you need a helmet and earmuffs and safety glasses and chaps and orange vests and everything to cut a tree down. Y'all, I don't play that way. So I'm just not gonna fail. And another thing, I mean, you've seen trees cut. I probably am not a great tree cutter. My daddy has logged all of his life as far as a hobby, hauling pulpwood and stuff, and is very good at felling trees, has felled thousands of trees. Me, however, I have not cut too many trees, and I have drug a heap of them out of the woods. I have sawed up a bunch that has already failed, but I have personally not cut a whole lot of trees. I'm more about planting trees than I am cutting them. I have no problem with using our natural resources. It's not like that. I'm not a tree hugger. There's usually for what I need. There's plenty laying around after storms. So I've cut my first tree, and I cut them into 12-foot logs and started peeling them. So once I get 2 or 3 up there, I'll start making videos, and probably next week working on that. I have a light that was sent to me several weeks back. I told him, I said, look, I'm gonna wait till hunting season kicks off so I can do a hunting video. You can't really go coon hunting and all of that, you know, without and not shoot anything. But they get antsy. It's a great light. I did take it out on a gator hunt I was invited on. However, I did not make a video because we did not catch a gator. Did not really get any good footage because you really couldn't film with no light until you got one hooked and was ready to, then we were going to turn the lights on and film, and that really never happened. So I really didn't get no footage with it. However, I did try the light out and showed Shannon the light a time or two, and that light would shine like halfway across the Ross Barnett Reservoir, like good. You could see alligator eyes at like, 6, 7, 800 yards. So, very good light. It is not multicolored, but it is truss fire. And they want me to do a video, so we're going to bring that out next week. They want that video done and up by the next weekend. I guess they think maybe I got the light and ain't going to give them a video. So we're going to have to go do some kind of video at night and throw a video together for them. That is one of the reasons I don't take a lot of products. I like to make videos in my own time when I feel like making them. That way I can make quality videos. Just throwing something together. I can't go film shooting and hunting anything and it ain't hunting season. So don't send me hunting products and won't don't work that way. I'm not, Mississippi Game and Fish would love to see me go shoot a deer at night down there, I'm sure in the middle of the summer with one of your lights. Y'all know what I mean. So anyway, Jimmy Sullivan, you done had grunnel for supper. Now, if I hadn't been eating, nibbling on that wild pig in there, I'd be swelled up at you, but I'm glad you had one. I threatened to go, but I've had so much going on, other stuff to do. I've been knocking out some knives y'all seen in videos. I've got about 4 made. And this took me 3 days to make 4 knives that I already had the blades ground on. So that's why y'all ain't getting like, all the knives knocked out in 2 weeks' time. So I've got to get them all, but I've had other stuff going on, filming other videos and this, that, and the other. So I am getting those done, and it's just a lot going on. I've been doing a lot of different stuff. Grateful Ed, hello. Yeah, Unchained, Mississippi Game and Fish would love to get after me, I'm sure. Now, honestly, y'all, I have got some really good law enforcement and game and fish, and I am pretty good friends with most of the law enforcement, especially the county law here. Now, the city law, I don't know too much. My brother used to be a city police, and I knew most all of them then, but I don't go to town a whole lot. He don't do it. Now, I do know 2 or 3 city police. 2 or 3 I know really well. Like, one lives right down the road from me, Mr. John Lilly, and his son is... But now he is just almost fixing to be, he's got one more runoff he's got to do. He'll be the constable, so he may not be doing city police no more, but I know most of the law enforcement around here. And like I said, he's finna be constable, so then I'll know that. I know one of the judges, it's elected judge. So the law don't really get after me a whole lot. In fact, I have had some call and help me more than try to hurt me. However, there's always that 1 or 2 that's usually young and excited, So anyway, Larry Alexander, how are you this afternoon, brother? And Uncle Sasquatch, I want to know too, Larry, did you buy the gun? Did you buy the rifle? He was inquiring about a flintlock last Friday when we done our live. And we all want to know, are you the proud owner of that musket now? Y'all, I got me a sip of coffee out here. But me talking about the light they want me to do a review on, everybody needs a good light. Now hang on here. I got to do something right here. Somebody is, come on, get up here. He wanting up here, come on. Roscoe had to make his appearance. Sit down. Sit. He gets excited. He got to stinking today, y'all. I had to hose him down with the water hose. All right, now. All right. That ain't gonna work. Get comfortable. He likes to sit in my lap, but now this rocking chair ain't the most comfortable thing. Larry pulled the trigger on the musket. If you don't like it, you've got my address. I'll be more than happy to do my tinker. Now, you just buy it and send it on up in. I'll put it to good use if you don't want it. Ain't that right, Uncle Sasquatch? I think that's a perfect idea if he ain't made the decision yet. All right. Anyway, what I was going to say, I want to tell y'all a tale. They inquiring with me about this light, want me to make a video, and you know, everybody needs a good light. Um, if you've ever been out at night trying to do anything, especially like you shoot a buck and he's down and you trailing that blood and you like me, usually you finding little bitty specks because you made a bad shot with that bow and you crawling on your hands and knees and you trying to fight, you need a good light. And if you like to coon hunt, and I used to do a little coon hunt, and I ain't never done no whole lot of it, but a coon hunt, you need a good light because you get to shining up in them trees trying to see his eyes, and I have shined up the trees, and sometimes old coon, if he's smart and he done been chased a little bit, he'll get up there and cover his eyes up like that where you can't see them. But old Uncle Pet and Uncle Versa and Ain't Pet Ledbetter got up in years, and all the kids has moved off, and all of them had done got houses of their own, and they got to going hunting by themselves. And Uncle Versa didn't believe in shooting no coon out of no tree, so he got him a dog and named him Old Blue. Said he trained him to be vicious. And said when he'd feed him, said he'd feed him them old cold biscuits. Said when he get him, said he'd chop him with a sharp part of that fork, make him reach for that biscuit. Said he fed him out of an old dinner bell. Said that cleared up his voice real good. And said he had, said you could hear him cut out on a coon down in the woods. Well, they got down there to hunting, and Uncle Versa and Ain't Pet would go right by themselves. And now they didn't have a good light back then. And they would get them some of them fat pine splinters. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Lighter pine, they call it. Now everybody on YouTube calls it fat wood. But they was lighter knots, pine knots, and they'd bust them things up in splinters, and they'd light the end of them and make them a torch. And man, it put off a good light. But you know, with that, you couldn't see way up in that tree. And here in Mississippi right now, this time of year when it's starting to get hunting season, everybody's excited wanting to get in the woods. Well, it's been real dry. Now, we had about an inch of rain last week. I had the windows down on my truck and it washed it out good. But it still, the dirt didn't get wet but about that deep. And then with the wind blowing the last 2 days, it is just dry as a powder keg again. Well, this one year it was like that. Uncle Versa and Ain't Pet was down deep in the swamps down there in South Mississippi, and they was hunting. And they shining them torches, holding them up, trying to shine them coons' eyes. And they trained Old Blue to be vicious. And so that way Uncle Versa wouldn't have to do so much. He wouldn't shoot no coon out of no tree. But what Uncle Versa would do was he would climb up in the tree and get him a sharp stick out of his back pocket, and he would punch the coon, and the coon would jump out on the ground, and that dog would just chew him up. And that's why he trained him to be vicious. And said they was walking one night and said a limb fell out of the tree, and said Old Blue, he chewed up the limb. Just chewed it into splinters right there in no time. So, you know, you had to be, anytime like he'd get up there and punch a coon out, when that coon hit the ground, Old Blue was on him by the time he hit the ground. Well, they got up there one night in Old Blue tree, way down in the swamp, and boy, they got down there and said they're holding them fat pine splinters way up in there, they can't see nothing, and said Uncle Versa had done climbed up in the tree, and he's holding his shining around, said I can't see his eyes, and he said, Ain't Pet, hold that light up higher. He said, baby, hold it way up. He said, now, it ain't uncommon for southern folks to call their women folk babe. He said, baby, said there's a stump down there. Get up on that stump and hold that light up higher where I can see his eyes. And said, Ain't Pet got up on that stump, had them torches, said she held it way up, and said the flames off of that torch caught that dried moss on fire in that tree. Said all of a sudden it just commenced to consume in that tree. And Uncle Versa's up in the tree, and said all of a sudden, said you could hear Uncle Versa squalling, saying, hold Old Blue! Hold Old Blue! Uncle Versa was fixing to jump out of the tree. He didn't want Blue to get him when he hit the ground. That is about as good a Jerry Clower tale as we can kick off. So that is why you need you one of these good trust fire lights. And I should have brought the light out here. We could have made them introduced it tonight, but we'll make a good video on it next week. Larry said he was trying to recover some funds from a hot water heater. I know how them funds disappear all the time. Thomas Varner, we are all doing very well. Got a 30-30 Marlin, a crossbow, and a 12 gauge. About all the fella needs to get by. Hunting chained, I would suggest you need a 22 rifle or a good pellet rifle, one because the ammo is fairly cheap. And the deal with a 22, if you or a pellet rifle, either one, is you can put a lot of ammo in your pocket. If you toting a 30-30, 20 rounds in your pocket, your britches start sagging. That would be the only thing. Now, I mean, you can take a 30-30 and kill anything that walks across. I mean, you can shoot squirrels and rabbits if you bark them, so I ain't gonna say you can't kill everything you are with it, but it's a mighty expensive to shoot small game and dispatch trap lines. So the 22 is usually the workhorse around here. So you got that too. Well, you in good shape. You don't need no whole lot. Most of us got more guns we can shake a stick at just cause we like guns. And I'll say this: guns are a good investment because if you've got money that you don't want to depreciate, if you got, you got $100 bill and you want to save it, and you stick that $100 bill in the closet in a coffee can, and you come back 10 years later and pull that $100 bill out, well, you still got your $100. However, the $100 won't buy what it would have bought 10 years ago. This is the problem with saving money. So people buy stuff like guns because guns hold their value and will somewhat increase in value. In other words, they ain't on just like the stock market make you a lot of money, but you bought a 30-30 Marlin back in 1970 something, and you give a couple of $100 for it back then, $150, $200, Now they worth about $800 if it's in good shape. Now, if you beat it and bang it and scratch it all to pieces, it ain't. But if you just put it in a box and stuck it in the closet, it's a valuable gun. Not to mention all the use you got out of it over these years. So that's one of the way old country boy invests his money. It ain't necessarily that we're gonna shoot that many guns at one time. A lot of people don't think of them that way. Best game fowl bloodline I ever had. Well, that depends on what you want to call the best. I don't fight chickens, so that part of it would be out. A lot of people, their best game fowls are the one they've won the most fights with. So I can't vouch for that because I had never fought them. But staying alive, raising their own babies, hardy chickens, don't get sick and die, most of the babies hatch, would be those black Mac Rays that I have. Now, most people that fight birds will tell you that black chickens are just a yard ornament. They don't like them. That would be the deal with that, But with me, not fighting them, don't matter. And gray game fowl, Chris, I would agree. Grays are good. My mule trains have laid the best. The other grays that I have that are supposed to be a Clemens gray. However, I'm not 100% positive they're Clemens. That's just what I was told they were, and I don't know all the things you look at to know, this is this or this ain't, I do, though, they look totally different, the hens do, than the other grays that I have. Those I've never not been able to get them to hatch babies good. And then when they did have babies, a lot of them were died in the egg, such as this kind of stuff. Very hard for me to hatch them. The mule trains were the best grays that I have fooled with, but I have not fooled with every kind of gray out there. There's a lot of different kind of Grays. Oh, Josh Summerall, how are you? Tristan, 22. Hatch Gray. Now, I have got a bunch of just mixed up stuff in there, and actually, some of my favorite are the crossbreeds that you really don't know what they are. In that big pen, I just throwed a bunch of chickens in there and they hatch. And y'all, I have come up with some of the prettiest, like pumpkin colored, real orangey looking reds. Beautiful. I've got some young birds out there right now that's some of the most beautiful young roosters, gonna be stags for long, that I've had. So it's all in what you're looking for when you say the best. I mean, everybody's got 1,000 different opinions, and it's going to be hard to say one's better than the other. Let me cut this light up here on y'all because it's starting to get dark out here, and y'all need to be able to look me in the face if we're going to make a video. That put a little light on the situation there, did it? Get another drink of my coffee here. But chickens, I enjoy my chickens. Now, I am really trying to downsize on chickens because in a survival type situation, I don't want 150 birds out here to have to feed and go buy feed for. And I struggle to turn birds out and just let them free range because I cannot handle when I rake up piles of straw to put in this or put around my trees. Like this time of the year, we start raking up pine straw as it starts to fall and put into flower beds. I put it around fruit trees. It helps fruit trees so that over in the winter, when you do get down to those really freezing temperatures, they got a little more insulation over the roots. You know, if the roots are shallow or the young trees especially, to keep them from freezing and killing the tree. Now, if it freezes on the blooms, you know, you're probably not going to have no fruit, but you don't want your tree to die. All our fig bushes last year, a lot of people saying the cold killed them. A lot of people saying it's those bugs killed them. Some people saying the cold killed them, and then the bugs come in and started eating the dead branches. Either one makes sense. I am not 100%. I know everybody in Mississippi lost their figs last year. So wood, pine straw around the root system have helped. You know, the roots didn't die. They put back out new limbs, so I don't know. But those chickens get up there. Anytime I rake pine straw around my trees, and chickens get up there and scratch it all out, and it makes me madder. I could bite a nail into. Randall, I have not checked the persimmon seeds. In fact, I hadn't been down there where the only persimmon tree I know is to see if there was any persimmons. Last year we had persimmons. You know, this year I'm not sure we even have any persimmons. I mean, they ain't been no other kind of fruit. Now that you've mentioned that, I need to go look because a lot of people's predicting it's an El Nino year, and a lot of people are predicting we're gonna have a bad cold winter. I watched Ryan Hall. Some of them suggested him last week. I had already been watching him for a while. But I seen he's talking about this hurricane coming, swelling up big. Now I don't know if it's gonna turn and go up through the Gulf or if we're gonna. I hate for it to come in as a Category 5 hurricane. But y'all, we need some rain here. You know, and I hate to get a hurricane, but sometimes a storm's the only way we can get it. Oh, anyway, he talked about an El Nino year that the South, deeper part of the South, was going to be below average. Now, up in the middle part of the United States was going to be about normal. And then he talked about up north, up there where it's been really, really, really cold, was going to be above average. I don't know how they figure all that out. But anyway, the weather has been weird, so. Yeah, y'all feeding, it costs me about $40 every 2 weeks to feed what I have. And that's because I feed very cheaply and supplement with a lot of pulled weeds and such as that. Grass clippings, when I mow the grass, like yesterday, I had waited 2 weeks to mow it because the week before last, it was really dry and it wasn't growing. So I just skipped cutting it a week and let it get really thick again. Then when it rained the other day, it started growing like crazy. So I cut it yesterday. And I had piles of grass clippings in areas. So I raked up grass clippings and I throw that in there. But I mix 2 bags of cracked corn or chops, we call it here, with a bag of usually 7-way scratch, has several different things in it. And I mix those two together in my garbage can that I've got down there for a feed barrel because the lid kind of clamps on it, keeps the squirrels out. And that's what I feed. I mix those three together, and it basically keeps them alive. But I feed plant. I pull weeds, by hand and throw wads of it into this, that, and the other. And that is how I supplement a lot of my feed bill. And and that is why I like just having chickens in one big pen. I figure at some point here I'll consolidate my grays down to one pen of grays, and then I have the Mac rays. My Kelsos that I've got, I cannot get them to really lay good, and I'm probably gonna turn them loose at some point. Like either let them go, sell them, let them mix in with other stuff. They just not hatching good because I'm getting past the point of wanting to keep all these separated pens. I will always have game chickens, but I just having all these different bloodlines is not as appealing to me as it once was. So somebody's interested in these Kelsos I have, I might would sell them, and you might have better luck with your setup of raising eggs and babies off of them. I have raised a few, and there is some Kelso blood in my mixed pen, so I've got 2 sawtooth oaks, y'all, in my backyard. They have acorns on them. They're not very big. Oh, and they just started putting acorns on here not long ago, but it has gotten dry. And I tell you what, you'll see. One year with the pecans did this. It rained. We had a good wet summer. Rained decently. They started putting on pecans, and then it got dry like this over in the fall. And when you would crack a pecan open, it'd just be shriveled up on the inside. And they say what happens is it starts pulling moisture away from the fruit, sacrificing the fruit to save the tree. So that may be something we see here this year in the drier areas. Now there's areas that is getting rain, not here though. I'll be honest with y'all, talking about the weather. I would relish a cold winter. That's a lot. Now the older people, especially on blood thinners and such as that, they get mad at me when I say that. I don't do the heat well. I don't like the heat. I don't mind. Like right now, it's comfortable weather. T-shirt weather, sit out here, it's okay. I have no problem getting up in the morning and putting a coat on. It don't bother me. Some people get mad if they have to wear a coat. I'm a coat fanatic. I guess you'd call it a jacket fetish, and I got a rack in the laundry room that is full of coats, and I like to wear them. In fact, sometimes I stand there and go, which one I want to wear today? I enjoy wearing my coats and my flannel shirts, and they just comfortable. And I like cold weather. There ain't no flies, there ain't no mosquitoes. I can skin game and stuff. I don't like to kill stuff and be trying to skin it, and the flies just wrapping it up because flies is nasty. So I'm waiting next week at like Tuesday. It is supposed to rain here, and the high is gonna be like 81 for like a week. I cannot wait. It's gonna be down in the 60s. So, I'm ready for this kind of weather. Uh, for those summer lovers, beach layers that like to lay under an umbrella and sip on margaritas and soak in the heat, get you a job metal roofing. That would help you tremendously. Get out from under the air conditioner. Ho, ho, ho. Jenny Bear, I am ready to till up mine and plant it. I pulled up a lot of my tomato stakes this past week. That was one of the chores I did. Mowed over everything. I left one big eggplant that was out there still producing eggplants. I pulled all my butternut squash up, brought them up here in the bucket. They sitting right over there, and there's three big eggplants in there. Uh, so I cleaned all that up, an area to till, and I have got to get that tilled up and done this coming week. Tristan, I agree. The humidity is a killer. When we down here griping about 98 degrees, 100 degrees, and people say, "Oh, y'all just whining." Out here in California, it was 112, and it was 118, and it was this. People in Texas are talking about you can fry an egg out on the sidewalk. I get that. I totally understand it. When you touch something, the surface of it is hot. But my brother-in-law went out there at the time of the peak heat. They had a wedding. My wife and them went. I did not go. I stayed here doing some stuff. I had to preach that weekend, so I wasn't able to go to the wedding that they went to in Texas, in around Beaumont or out there. Actually, they went to Orange, Texas, and then my brother-in-law and them went on over into Houston and rode around, did some sightseeing, seen some stuff in Texas. And he said, we got out and walked a mile. He said, it is nothing like back home. The humidity, he said, you could breathe. And he said, it's hot, but you could breathe, you could stand to do stuff. And people don't realize how much difference the moisture in the air makes with us. I mean, it's the breathing, you gasping for breath, and the humidity just, I don't know. It's just different. I ain't gonna say it's worse. I'm not gonna say one. Like we've got it the worst of anybody in the world. I'm not saying that. I am just saying that humidity is what kills us, and it kills us in the winter too. I mean, when it gets cold here and that humidity gets strong, there's times that it can be like snow on the ground, and it's not as cold as some of the nights, and the wind's blowing late in the evening, and it's bad cold, and so I don't know. I'd give anything though for it to be. Unchained. Don't get hung up on them likes. There's a lot of people that are watching us on TV that are not able to hit that thumbs up. So it don't bother me, y'all. I understand it. So don't get hung up. I mean, if you can go hit that like button, by all means hit it. It'll just help promote the video where other people see it. Another thing, y'all, on the regular videos, if you have a means of sharing them, by all means share. I had somebody ask me the other day, you mind if I share this video? Share every video you want to. Like some of my hunting stuff, I was sharing some of them to Facebook groups, and I was sharing one to the Mountain Men Traditions page. I shared a video back. Well, it kept getting deleted. It would pop up, and then I would go back to check, and it was gone. So I put it back on. I was like, well, what's going on? Nobody told me anything. And it was a video that I don't remember what I was doing in that particular video, but it had to do with the group. I mean, because I make a lot of videos, so I don't share every video I make like some of them do to these pages to promote it. Um, and so one day I asked, and somebody was like, "Well, I don't know one of the administrators on there, so I don't know what's going on." So I don't. Well, then there was another guy that popped on. He said, "I deleted it." Said he just on there trying to drum up traffic. Okay, well, I see all these other people posting their YouTube videos to that page, and some of them, this one dude that he just canceled all modern stuff. I mean, he tents and not really. I mean, he's got a good channel, but he's a smart aleck, and I don't really like him. But I ain't gonna call him out on that. That's his own business, my personal opinion. So, uh, I just quit sharing them to Facebook groups for the most part because that now every now and then, if I've got a really good medicinal video that I think will help somebody, I'll share it to our local foraging page. But I am not going to get on there and argue with administrators about them telling me I'm just trying to drum up traffic by sharing them to Facebook groups. So if you want to see my video on one of them Mountain Men pages or whatever, you share it to there. I'm not going to do it anymore because I'm not going to argue with people. I am too busy to argue with somebody that is just full of their self and want their way. I could care less. I mean, I run a bass fishing page on Facebook for Mississippi bass fishing, and I very seldom share my fishing videos on that page just because I we're doing well enough without sharing it everywhere. So I mean, sharing videos and liking, hitting the thumbs up promotes that video and helps the algorithm say, hey, everybody likes this video. We're going to share it to more people. And the more thumbs up that video gets per views, then the more people that it'll promote it to. And like the video where I sat out there on the stump and just talked, y'all, it seems like more people had rather me just sit down and talk for a little while than they had me actually be doing something. So like medicinal plant videos do okay. Bowfin fishing does okay. The canoeing in the swamp and the muzzle loading black powder stuff does really well. However, it's seasonal. But if I just sat down, I done found out, and just sit there and talk about life, those videos do exceptional. So you'll probably see more of them in the future. And those of you popping up on here, I'm not really keeping up with this really close. So anyway, Tyler, good to see you. Shofar Blast. Daniel Reynolds. Larry Reese, it gets cold, but now it ain't unbearable. Our winters, for the most part, when it does get down real cold, it gets really cold and feels cold. But the benefit to here is in the winter is in the day it'll warm up and you can get out and you can start out with a coat in the morning and up around dinner. You can pull that jacket off and throw it down and walk around in a flannel shirt, a long sleeve shirt. You good. Especially if you walking in the woods, and like me, I get in the woods and walk a lot. Now, if you setting up in a tree on a tree stand all day long, exposed, your toes is gonna be cold all the way to your nose. So, yeah, Daniel, those talking videos, I think I'm getting a lot more traffic with them. And for an old country boy that likes to sit here, I'll put it like this. God blessed me with a pretty good amount of common sense. I don't claim to be a smart man, but I have lived some life, hands-on life, done a bunch of things. I'm a doer. I don't really sit around much waiting on somebody else to do everything for me. I'm not a call a professional every time you need something. I mean, if something needs doing, first thing can I fix it? Can I do it? Can I do this myself? So, that's one of those things. And God has allowed me to have a little bit of wisdom, and I have prayed for wisdom. I've prayed, God, if I'm going to preach and I'm going to talk to people and I'm going to be able to reach people, I want what I say to be true and real and to connect. And y'all, I don't try to put on airs like I'm something I'm not and try to appear smarter than everybody else. One of the things that I have found people resent the most is when you talk down to them. When you get up there and try to act sophisticated and like you're smarter than everybody and you think you're better than everybody, they are going to turn you off right off the bat. And the first thing is I'm as average as everybody else. I'm not smarter than nobody else. I learn as much from some of these comments as y'all do from my videos. So, I think that makes a lot of difference in people listening to you and wanting to hear what you have to say. If they can relate to it and understand it. I have heard preachers get up there and preach for an hour, and when they got through, I knew what their scripture was and I knew what they was preaching about, but they just talked around and around and beat around the bush, and I had to piece together to figure out what they really preached about and what their whole sermon was. They made several good points, had some good lines in there, but if somebody will talk about, and use what the cows did out there in the pasture to make a point with their topic, I can connect with that. So, yeah, Daniel, we're seeing the end times play out by all means. And it may not be playing out as fast as we think at times, and it may be playing out faster. So anyway, You post me on other YouTube channels. Thank you. Share it anywhere y'all want to share these videos. I got out talking about Jenny, the medicinal videos. I filmed another cardinal flower video today, dressed in my buckskin shirt. Got out there, I went and picked that armload. Found a place that it was just growing abundantly. And I do, I seen it and I was drooling at the mouth, so I went and picked a bunch of it. So I have an abundance of cardinal flower, and I wanted to film a video wearing the buckskins. And so you're going to see a lot of videos of me in these buckskins, especially as I make more. My wife, she went to Hobby Lobby yesterday to help a lady get some stuff for a wedding shower or a baby shower that they're preparing to do, and some decorations. She said, they got a bunch of leather on sale. And I'm like, well, what is it? She said, it looks like buckskin, but it said it's not. It's leather, but it's real soft and limber. And I was, well, how much is it? She said, well, it's 12 square foot and it's $8 a roll. I was like, get both rolls and bring them home. So y'all, it is leather, but it is pliable like buckskins. I really thought about making me a pair of moccasins out of it. I don't know. I'm going to make something. I don't know what yet. So far, I'm reading up through comments. It was minus 60 degrees. I don't think I want to deal with that. That is one thing that hinders me from wanting to go visit. I would love to go to Alaska. I just have always allured to the wild of Alaska. That remoteness and all appeals to me. But I'm gonna tell you, that kind of cold in the winter, it's not about how cold I feel. Stuff just don't function the same. Engines don't work the same. There's a lot more you got to know how to do than just put on plenty of clothes. And, it's literally dangerous. So, I realize it's a big difference. And, I feel cold here, but I might really feel cold up there. Yeah, Daniel, it is happening slowly. It is happening slowly, and it's not going to be globally. Like, people think that, well, the Lord's going to burn up a third part of the earth. Well, he might, but it may not happen all on the same day. It's burned up here and then burnt, like, Maui burnt and then this burnt and that burnt and this burnt. Canada's burning this. You're seeing a lot burn that you don't put it all. If it all happened the same day, you'd be like, whoa, but it happens here and then there and then over there and then storms. And the Bible talks about there'll be wars and rumors of wars, floods and all that. And y'all, this deal with Ukraine, has that been as much of a rumor of war? And then we've heard all this talk about a new civil war here and us fighting with this country and China invading. And I mean, Bible prophecy is playing out. Yeah, Chris, I'm not made for that kind of cold either. I would like to go experience it, knowing that I could get in something and come on to the house if I didn't like it. I don't think I'd want to just be dumped out up there and have to, force myself to deal with it. No, buckskins ain't warm in the winter. You need wool. It's called a capote. You're asking, is buckskins warm in the wintertime? I have no experience. I've got my first buckskin shirt. I will say this, it was warm today while I had it on. Because I put it over this shirt and this shirt was wet when I took it back off. So, I don't know. I've not worn them in the winter yet. Mark says, no, they need a wool called a capote. And I thought about ordering a trade blanket, wool trade blanket, and making a capote. You can find them on some of the groups on Facebook, like the Mountain Man Traditions and some of these other trading groups. You can find people that are making them and selling them, and they're very expensive. And I just thought, I could probably make one. I mean, you can get a pattern. So, yeah, go to Alaska in the summer. If I could afford to just go up there, and if I had seriously had Alaska on my mind, And I was like, you know, I really am going to go and I really am going to spend some time up there. I would want my pilot's license and a bush plane. And that would be very feasible. Uh, I would I would really like to fly. I've never been in an airplane in my life. So I've been in a helicopter, never been in an airplane. But I wouldn't think twice about getting a pilot's license if I could, you know, manage it and afford it. I think the expense is what would hold me up. And I would fly in and out of Alaska. I mean, like Marty Marietta, that would be an ideal thing. I think I would fit more around Idaho, Wyoming, some of those areas, maybe in Colorado, the rural parts. I would like to be in foothills. I want some snow through the winter. You know, I don't want 4 foot of snow. I just want, you know, at any given time, maybe 6, 8 inches of snow out there and pretty regular. I could handle that. It probably would get old. Now, my problem is now when it gets about March to April, I'm ready to start getting my seeds out, planting my garden. And if it's still snowing, then that's when I'm gonna get flustered. You know what I mean? Well, William C. Boyd, we will find out here before two got off, probably about Christmas times when it'll finally get cold here. Um, I will try them out most definitely. I'm definitely going to attempt to make some pants. I'm looking on eBay. I found a company down in Florida that is selling buckskins at a reasonable price. Now, what they are, I'm going to order one hide and see what I get. And if they look like, hey, this will work, I'm going to get me enough to make me a pair of pants. Uh, I'm going to make my coat because it can be a little stiffer, and I'm going to line it with some type of a flannel, stitch it in. So I'm going, I don't want chaps, like what the natives would call leggings, and then they wore a loincloth. And you know, all my life, y'all, I don't know if y'all knew this or not. A loincloth, I thought, was just a flap just hanging over. You know, you raised it up, you could see, you know, y'all, your glory under it. But that's not so. It is a long thing that folds under, all the way under you like underwear, and then the top of it folds back down the band like you wrap it from the front all the way down and then back up your back and put a belt on and then let the front fall back down over it. Y'all, I may have been the only idiot here. I didn't realize that that's how the loincloth worked. I thought, you know, if that Indian squatted down and that raised up, you could see everything, but that ain't how that worked. So, and now they may have been some of it did, but the average loincloth was basically an underwear with a flap. You know, just didn't have no sides on it. So, you know, that was news to me. Buckskin, Uncle Sasquatch said the only buckskin that was warm is the one still on the buck. He may have a good point there. They do say it's breathable, and I heard somebody say it'll cut the winds. You know, I don't know. Uh, I'm thinking about trying to get my wife. She loves to sew. And just talking about buckskins, my buddy Tony Parker up here in North Mississippi come to see me, brought me a hoe, brought me that meat hook you'll see in this video where I am flipping these meat on the grill, that big ham. He forged it. He called me after he seen my video with that shirt and seen me hand stitching all that. He said, I got something you need. It is a hand crank sewing machine, antique. He said, we're going to do some horse trading on it. So basically, it's this old sewing machine, antique job, and you turn this hand, it has got a groove. You can put an electric motor to it. But you hand turn it and sew. And it'll sew that buckskin. So, that being, if I get this, and in my working on my other stuff, and I figure out how to make this, and I can acquire buckskins, and everything does go smoothly, there may be, in the far, far future, we're not doing like the knife where I took, you know, said I'll make y'all a knife, and now I got knife orders running out my ears. there may be buckskins for sale. They will be expensive, okay? It's just, there's a lot of work in making a buckskin shirt. I have put that off and put it off and put it off. Number one, I was trying to get my hide soft enough, but if the sewing machine works and takes a lot of the work out of it and I figure out the patterns, obviously somebody made the comment that you know, if I got in that thing, I was going to have to get a nail drove in the wall, hook it on there to get slid out of it. You know, it's a mite tight, but I wanted mine snug. I do not like loose, big, floppy clothes. If you get in the brush and you're doing things, they hanging and snagging, and I don't like baggy looking clothes. I mean, I'm not trying to show off my physique and all. I just don't like baggy clothes. I do not. So my shirt is a little tight for me. A lot of people, if you like baggy clothes, so you know, there may be a day where I can make some and sell them. I'm reading through comments trying to get caught up on who all's here. I know there's people. Jay Wallington, hello. Bushcraft with the Preacher, good to see you in Kansas, my brother. We are having great weather down there. We are going, well, William, the next thing we're going to make is the coat. You'll see the coat making video. I may start that next week, depending. If we get our glaze come in, I'm going to have to really double up on some pottery. You may see videos taper off for a little bit. I have been making videos today and yesterday. We've had a lot going on this week, but I'm fixing that to get on the pottery when our products get in. So we're going to... Randall Ross, elaborate. You said I broke a buddy from tanning buckskin. Tell me what happened. I'm gonna tell you that tanning buckskin is a lot of work. If I was gonna start making shirts, I would have to get. I tried to talk somebody into getting a commercial set up to tan them. There's a lot of hides get thrown away because people skin deer and they just chunk them. The processing, because there's nobody fools with it. If somebody around Tennessee Smoky, good to see you. Jessica Starr, good to see you. If somebody had a commercial tanning set up, you could probably get all the buckskins you want, you know, free deer hides from these processors. We have about 3 or 4 game processors right here in our driving area in the winter. You can drive and get them things. All you would need is an extra freezer to just chunk all them things in. Is the easiest thing to do it. You can salt them, but now here it gets very warm. You got to be very careful with this salting business. You need to flesh it before you salt it, because you can throw one that ain't been fleshed in the freezer and you're done with it, you know. But the flies it'll warm up one day and rot all that stuff if you ain't careful salted. So that's done happen to some people trying to do it. Let me get some of these questions people are asking. For the chicken men, former chicken men, I have a blue-faced hatch. I hatched this year, and they are the most tame chickens I've ever seen. Can pick them right up, but also the most game. So what is the question, Jessica? I'm missing what the actual question is. They're most tame chickens I've ever seen, can pick them right up, but also the most game. I had a rooster that I could tote around. He was calm. I could handle him. But now when some critter went out there to get it, they'd tie up and fight in New York minute. Some of them they just don't like other chickens. So, I don't know. I like some wild birds. I like when I reach in there to feed that bird, he bows up and shows out, because I don't know, I just appeals me. Now, I don't want it that goes to spurring me every time I get in there. Is it the breed in general, or maybe my blood that did it the same way? I can't answer that. One of you guys that's been fooling with birds, a lot of it has to do with bloodline. A lot of people are breeding certain bloodlines because this bloodline's more game than that bloodline or whatever. I don't have a lot of experience in all that. I'm gonna be honest with you. Um, I don't know. I can't answer that. I wish I could. Chris, maybe you can answer that. Some of y'all that's got some experience. Mr. John Dyden has showed up. I am feeling well enough to figure out how to log in tonight. Well, Mr. John, let me tell you something. I have been praying special for you. I'm praying for the Lord to heal your body. I need you to have faith. I need you to really believe God's going to heal you. The more faith you got, the more He's going to do. But I've been praying special for you. You've been sick for too long, and I want you to get well enough, and I can come up there to East Tennessee. Y'all, Mr. John Dyden is up in Sunbright, Tennessee, where they used to make the Blue Hole canoes. That is where the canoe I have came from. And I want to go up there and see some of that country and meet him. And he's been watching me for a long time. We've had some late night conversations on the phone. Pray that the Lord heal him. He's in a hospital bed, ain't doing good. The Lord's going to heal him. We need some faith and some prayer warriors to pray for him. Also, my nephew's wife's daddy is not doing good. Brain cancer. Got him in a hospital down in Hattiesburg. And I can't call his name right off the time. He is a Hatcher. His last name is Hatcher. Just pray for Mr. Hatcher, okay? Tonight, y'all, I know I got some prayer warriors tuned in. I need y'all to do that for me. But anyway, back to a lighter subject. See you later, Shofar. All right, I got to get back to Mr. Randall Ross. He said that he would rather buy it. It was too much work. I agree with him, Mr. Randall Ross. I totally agree with him. However, every time I see a deer hide, I can't help but go trying to tan it. I just keep thinking I'm going to get better. I'm going to get better at it. And I am. I'm going to get it figured out. I know how to do it. My steps and my method is right. My problem is my time to devote to it is where I hold up. I wear out before the tide does. Jessica, talking about your chickens, if you happy with your chickens and they doing what you are, there's no good or bad. Uh, Depends on what you trying to do with them. If they doing what you want to do with them, that's all that matters, really. Somebody else's opinion of your birds don't matter. If you are fighting your birds, if they performing when you take them and show them to do what you want them to do, that's all that matters. What somebody else thinks of your bird, how you handle your bird. I've had people scold me about how I was holding my bird. You know what? It ain't none of nobody else's business. They can hold their bird like they want to. Is there better ways and ways that are taught to? Yeah, by all means, But is it in? I mean, you gonna break it? No. you know. Northeast Arkansas, JL 327. Well, Tennessee Smoky, that leather that my wife bought, she's thinking about making. But I'm gonna tell you what I want for moccasins. Now I'm crazy. I'm different. I got some beaver hides out there that I'm gonna tan. They in the freezer. I got two of them tanned, the smaller ones, and then I got one I stretched out and dried, and it's hanging on the wall in the house as decoration. I'm going to tan them beaver hides and make me some moccasins out of them because it's thick. I am not going to shave it down to limberly soft. I want them thick. I want it pliable, but I want them somewhat like shoes. I'm going to make my moccasins the way I want them made. And that beaver hair is going to be on the inside, and I'm going to make a tall moccasin boot out of it. And that is what I'm going to have for moccasin boots. Now, I have got some Minnetonkas. And y'all, I am still wearing this pair of shoes. I got a thrift store. I found out something about this pair of shoes. These are the most comfortable. I have been wearing them to fish, picking medicinal plants. These are Cole Haan. Do y'all know that pair of shoes? Now, I got them at the thrift store. I give $5 for them. That pair of shoes is about $150. I did not know that. But I've been wearing them for moccasins, but now I got 2 or 3 pair in there. And one pair of them is handmade moccasins. I don't know what kind of wool skin it is. It's got wool on the inside. And I don't know if they glued that in there or if it is actually a sheepskin moccasin. They look like hand stitched. So I don't know. But they're not a commercial. But I got some Minnetonka boots and some old Minnetonka regular moccasins in there that I wear pretty regular, that are very nice and look good. They look good in videos, but I agree. I want handmade. I want to make my own moccasins. I mean, I just eventually I want my whole suit of clothes to be I made them. That is the spirit of what I'm trying to do here in my videos. Is hey, I'm making everything I can make. You know, if it gets to where you can't go to town, at some point we're gonna be like the Mountain Men and make our own clothes. It's not about I wanna look like I'm living history and old timey stuff. It's the what I can make and do for myself, and that is buckskins. Hey, Adam and Eve, when they sinned in the garden, what did God make their clothes out of? Animal skins. Need I say more? Linwood Vowell, how are you today? The problem there is there's a company that does hides. How much are their buckskins? Tandy Leather sells buckskins, but they about $100 a piece, and that is a little rich for my blood. I can't swing that. Mr. John died, and we all believe in prayer. The thing is, here's the difference in believing in prayer and having faith. I believe God is a healer always, but there's times that maybe God ain't gonna do it for me. Maybe I have sinned too much that I don't deserve God to answer the prayer for me. That's where our holdup, and that's where the enemy robs us. The devil robs us of a healing. You need to believe God is gonna heal you. You just waiting on him to do it. You need to be expecting it. Have faith expecting. God said he's gonna heal me. And that's what I want you to believe. I know you believe prayer works. I think everybody watching this channel probably believes that prayer works. But Jesus went and talked to a bunch of people, and he said, "Oh, ye of little faith." And they was looking at God, seen him do miracles. They knew he could do it, but they just didn't really think he might do it for them. So that is the difference in faith. So when I say have faith, believe God's going to do it for you. Not that he can, but he will. East Tennessee, Jessica, I have not got them to hatch any babies yet. I've just got them in there, but I'm not pushing them. They doing some adjusting. I have really got to spend some time getting boxes strawed up and all of that. I have put grass clippings in a bunch of them, and that helps the laying. If they got a good nesting box, helps them to lay a whole lot better than sometimes the way I do things. And I'm so busy, I just kind of, that helps. Adam and Eve were naked, unchained until the sin, and Jesus come in, and they said we hid ourselves because we were naked, and he made them clothes out of animal skins, and that was the first death that there was in the world, was a sacrifice for them to be clothed. They were naked up until the sin, after the sin, and then they were clothed in animal skins. Oh. Tennessee Smokey, I was curious after I seen Larry say something about the surgery. Honestly, I don't know if I missed a comment or if I missed something. I did not know you were having surgery. Maybe put it on Mike Reed's channel, and we've had a lot of revival services, and I have not got to tune in and read. A lot of times when Mike Reed is preaching, I don't comment because he'll get me started preaching too. And it's hard to preach when you're having to type, and especially when he's got it on slow comments where you can't make but one comment every 5 minutes. But I'll be doing something else and just have it playing and listening to him preach, and I don't really get on there and comment a whole lot. So I may have missed a comment, didn't know, but I am glad you got through your surgery and all. Uh, God is good all the time. Oh, so Mr. Larry, they tend to hide for you for $35. That ain't a big deal. I could, if I found somebody I could just ship them a green hide, and well, I would probably have to flesh it out. Yeah, I would flesh it out and dry it and then send it to them. Obviously, yeah, you can't send it green. I don't know what I was thinking. And they tan it for $35 is probably a good deal. That was 5 years ago, Mr. Larry. We need to converse about that in some text messages. See if because I have never shipped anything off to have it tanned, and I want to tan stuff, and I'm gonna tan stuff, but I'm thinking about sending off some stuff to get it tanned because sometimes I have so much of it. I could come near coming out by making garments after somebody else did all the work tanning because smaller stuff I've done okay tanning. I don't know. I don't have the time to put into a lot of tanning. I'd rather make garments, make hats, make what clothes out of it than I had to do the tanning. That tanning's a lot of work. So I guess me and Mr. Randall Ross's buddy would be in agreement on that. However, I'm not gonna quit tanning. I'm gonna keep tanning stuff. All right, I think I've done got caught up with all the comments now. I'm sure I have missed something somewhere, but anyway, it is good to see all of y'all here tonight. What is the next topic we want to do? We got 54 people y'all on here, and right now we're at 52 likes. Y'all are excellent, and I'm sure there's people coming in and left out. I mean, we may have had more views than that, and it will usually tell me at the end how many total views. And last week we had over 400 and something by the time I got through. So that is an exceptional thing. Prayer changes. And Jenny Bear said, "To have been praying for my husband, and we found out he does not have leukemia. He still has ALS, but we are believing God in that also. Praise God for healing and it not being what you thought it was. That within itself is a miracle. And for those of you that may have not have, hey Francis, glad you're here. Um, for those of you that may have not have caught this at the very beginning, I got a phone call today. I was out filming videos. I was actually coming back home with a whole bunch of Lobelia cardinalis, the cardinal flower I had went and filmed. The phone started blowing up. My daughter got involved in an accident. Small fender bender. She rear-ended somebody uptown. They was at a yield situation, and they were yielding, and the car in front of her decided to stop and wait on the car to come by, and she was looking back to see if there was something coming and rear-ended the vehicle. Long story short, she hit somebody in the rear end. Tore her car up. But I got that phone call, and I got to go get my daughter and bring her home. She's not hurt at all. That is the main thing. And I give God praise for that tonight. Because those people that got that phone call and they had to rush to an emergency room or possibly to a funeral home. And you think about these things, and I was very fortunate. And all I did was, I did like the preacher that was preacher brother Mark McCool was preaching for us this weekend. He said, sometimes when things ain't going good, he said, I look at the devil, he said, and I said, devil, you got to try harder than that. And that's what I said today. I said, devil, you got to try harder than that. Yeah, you got to do better than that. And it's because my God is good. He has been good to me. So that being said, baby girl's got a tore up car now. Front end's bumper's completely gone off of it. Little Nissan Maxima. What I'm afraid of is the car is probably not worth what it's going to cost to fix it. So me being who I am, I stood back down here while I was peeling one of them pine trees I cut down today. And I said, God, I want you to give her a new car. I ain't got the money to buy one, but the word says you have not because you ask not. Ask and you shall receive. And you know, I got thinking that, my God, I'm not, my God is not a beggar. I'm representing a kingdom. I'm representing the King of Kings. I'm not representing the king of beggars, the king of paupers, the king of the lowly. So I said, Lord, give my daughter a new car. So we'll see how that goes in the future. When I get on here and give y'all the testimony of the new car he's going to give her that I didn't have to pay for, we'll know God is good all the time. I done watched him give me, Mr. Don Lanier, give me a boat motor after I told the Lord, I need a boat motor so Brody can go ride up and down the swamp. He don't need to be in that canoe after I about turned it over down there catfishing one day. And, you know, the Lord give us a boat motor. And we hadn't got all the use out of it, but when it starts raining this winter and the water goes back up, Brody will get to be in that boat. We'll be catfishing in that boat again. You know, the Lord has given me things I wanted, not just things I need. So, I just wanted to give y'all that testimony. I'd mentioned it earlier, but Michael, you have not missed much of anything. You are here live tonight as I'm live, and the show will go on. Bushcraft with the preacher, right mindset. Yes, God is able, and he's going to take care of us. Times may get hard, he's going to help. Hello from Colorado. I would like to be in Colorado today. Grateful Ed, I'm not even sure what that is off the top of my head. Those things like that pop up that I have no prior experience with, I have to, Michelle. Okay. My wife's name is Michelle, but hers is spelled Michelle. So that's what threw me for a loop. Sorry about the mispronouncing it, but now we got it right. White goosefoot. I don't know that we have that here. If we do, I have not. Usually what I do is I find what is in my area and I expound on that. It's hard for me to study plants that I do not have, that I know nothing about. And one of my things is if I'm going to teach about a plant and talk about it and all this, I want to be able to use it and know that I can sit here and say, hey, I took this plant and it did this for me. And that's important to me because there's a lot of people that can just get a book and read you stuff off that book and they don't have no clue. I mean, I could read you about Mars and I don't know know what's on Mars and I could fly. And, you know, so if it ain't true, who knows? With medicinal plants, if it's something that I have got, because a lot of people are very skeptical of medicinal plants, very leery of them, and probably really overthink a lot of them. The basic medicinal plant, you can pull the plant up and eat the plant and probably get some use out of it. There are things you can do to condense that plant down, certain parts of it that have certain properties, and like the black tar out of the wild lettuce. You're condensing a large quantity of a plant down to a small bit where you can really basically take more of it at a time. You're not really making it stronger. You're just condensing it down to where basically if you made a tea out of it, you drank about a half a pot in a setting instead of one seal. You see what I mean? So it's really greatly overthought more than it is a certain method's better than the other. You can make a tea out of most anything and drink it and get a lot of medicinal qualities out of it. However, you know, if you're trying to put a topical ointment on, well, you can't just make a tea and then pour it on your arm. You know, you need to make a salve to where it'll stick and stay there, absorb in. like with plantain the other day, Brody got out here and got into ants. And we went and grabbed plantain, and I just pulled up the plant and stuck it in my mouth and chewed it, make a spit poultice, and rubbed it all on his feet. I mean, he done had whelps coming up. And we was on the lawnmower. He was steadily scratching at them. Well, I noticed after a little bit, he wasn't scratching no more. So the plant actually works, and that raw plant, a lot of people think, well, you got to dry it and then process it, do all this before you can use it. No, you grab that plant up and just use it. You process it and dry it and all that stuff to preserve it so that in the off season you have something to use. So, as far as getting seeds out of something, let me tell you what I've been doing with the wild lettuce. I've sent a few seeds to people. I have not a whole lot. I had a few more people wanting seeds. I am still collecting some seeds. I took a big feed sack. I cut the tops out of the plant and I stuck them in that feed sack upside down as they were blooming and set it in my shed. And as it sits there, it'll dry and they'll continue to open up. And those seeds, I can shake them out. And I have got a pile of seeds. So I have some, it's actually blue lettuce. I don't have Virosa, which is considered the most potent plant. What little Virosa I found, I reseed. I shook the seeds out. I didn't collect them. Most of this is blue lettuce is like Floridana and the Canadensis. And when you're studying them, both of them come up under the qualifications of what I'm finding. It's got purple flowers, blue. Now, I have some that have yellow flowers. That is what I found to be the Virosa. So I have 3 or 4 different species, but some of them are very hard to differentiate in between which is. Unchained said you got to be leery of shrooms. The biggest thing with mushrooms is to find out which ones you have in your area that are poisonous and stay away from them. Now, where you been, son? If you come back stinking like you did today, I'll hose you back down with that water hose. You don't smell too bad. The problem with that is he won't crawl up my bed tonight. Oh, Lord. All right. I bet while I've been yapping, I probably missed a bunch of comments, questions. I don't know. Jessica, when you get some of them man-fighting chickens, let me give you a piece of advice. I tried this because I have took some birds that they were fixing to cull. They give them to me because they couldn't handle them, and I tamed them down. And I tell you what I did. When you got that 55-gallon rain barrel over there catching water that you dip up your water to water your chickens, when he starts spurring at you, he gonna get you the first time or two. You get him caught up by the feet, and you go over there holding him by both legs, and you paloosh and pull him back up. And he starts trying to pick you on the arm, and you paloosh and pull him back up. And you look at him and say, you cooled off yet? And paloosh and back. Now, don't drown him. We ain't talking about torturing the bird like holding him under a waterboard. I'm just talking about dunking him down and pulling him back up. Okay? He don't like that. After a few times of that, you see, because a chicken, you can't really whoop a chicken, okay? I mean, you can take a switch and whoop a dog. And I ain't talking about, just tear his tail up. Usually with a dog, a rolled up newspaper makes more racket than it hurts, and that works for a dog. But when I raised pit bulls, their hide was tough, and they didn't listen to much of nothing. And you could take a switch and right across the end of their nose and top of their head, and they had a lot of respect for you then. A chicken, I mean, if you hit a chicken very hard to try to scold him, you're going to kill him, or knock him unconscious. You don't want to be doing it. And I ain't promoting abusing animals, y'all. We're talking about one that is out of control, that needs some help minding. The Bible says, spare the rod, spoil the child. So if it works with your children, it'll work with animals. When you dunk him down in that water a couple of times, he starts gaining a lot of respect for you. And you ain't killed him, you ain't hurt him, we ain't talking about drowning him, we're just talking about, you washing him real good. Try that, okay? I don't mind a man fighter. It's just a challenge to me. But now I agree, you're a female and you don't want to get spurred, and I don't cut my spurs. So when they hit me, I have had some of them that I had to do that too. That used to get. In fact, one of them black ones used to do me that way, and now me and him's got a good understanding. Have you ever used bloodroot? I have not used bloodroot. Oh, now I have not looked. The first thing I did, y'all, I got into medicinal plants for the herbal teas because I just wanted tea to drink. I'll be honest with you, I like goldenrod just because it's just a good tea to drink. It flushes my kidneys out. It kind of washes your body out. It helps drain water retention off your body. And I got into teas for that. And I liked the flavor of rabbit tobacco, sweet everlasting. It's Nagpalium obtusifolium. I love the flavor of it. So I mix it with a goldenrod now. And it's just a tea I drink is because it's something I want to sip on in cool weather. I like a warm tea. And you don't really need to drink too much coffee because too much caffeine gets me like this, you know. And I don't really like being like that. That's why I never did like crystal meth back when I was, doing things I shouldn't do. And I tried it a few times. I didn't like it at all. Not none. And I don't understand why people want to do that. But herbal teas, then I got to say, well, I got, anxiety. I get jittery. So, like with the coffee, I wanted something to kind of calm me down. So, like, when problems arise, I don't get aggravated and angry so quick. And I found Lobelia cardinalis helped me do that. Passion plant helps me do that. So, there's a couple of plants that help me kind of calm down. And it don't make me, like, feel like I'm on drugs, like relaxed and I'm high. That ain't what I'm talking about. It just, I noticed that when I drink these teas, if something happens, I'm not like, rattled. I'm like, okay, well, let's figure out what we need to do to handle this situation. And I don't let stuff rattle me. So that is what I was looking for. And then as I had problems and needed things, I got plants that would help that. And I'm a pretty well healthy person. So my next big thing was like cold remedies. We got the elderberries and all that stuff, and I have not made my elderberry syrup yet this year. But I got into that, so I have not experimented with a whole lot of plants. I have studied a few, but I have not really tried to find things for problems that I guess that's a curse of being healthy. But I use turkey tail a lot in the fall when I can find it because it helps boost the immune system and things like that were important to me, especially through COVID. And y'all, I went through COVID. I've been sick a few times. I never went and got tested. My wife and son and daughter all got tested different times when we was all sick and they had COVID. I never really got that bad sick. So I think having a good immune is an important thing. And I think turkey tail and a few other plants helped me do that along with being exposed to some germs. Michelle said her name is biblical. Okay. Yep, yep. Some call it wild spinach. I'll have to look that up and see what that is. Have I ever used bloodroot? I have not used bloodroot. Oh, yeah. Francis is Franciso. Hmm. I hate butchering y'all's names. I know y'all don't like it either. I don't like it when people butcher mine. I usually won't say nothing, but I don't like it. So I get it. I use plantain the same way. He won't chew it and spit it out, but he will let me. Yeah, Brody will eat the plantain. He'll put it in his mouth and just swallow it, which it's healthy for you. It's plantain is good if you eat some of it along for your gut and all different things. Has in fact, they say with snake bites, if you're gonna use plantain to try to help with snake bite, I don't recommend if you get rattlesnake bit, you resort to plantain first. I'd go get an vaccine, anti venom, yeah, anti venom. But if you're gonna use it, they say to apply it to the bite. And like probably what I would do if I got rattlesnake bit, I would go grab plantain and be chewing it up, like get me a fistful of it, and I'd be using it while I was on the way to the hospital. But you put it on the bite and then you eat it internally, and both of it together is supposed to help you. So I don't know that works. I have not used it for snake. I have never been snake bit. All my traipsing around in the woods and experience, I have never been snake bit. Knock on wood, if that really works. I don't think it does, but it might happen tomorrow. But Lord has protected me so far, is what I'll say. 25 quarts. Lamb's quarter. Okay. Now, lamb's quarter we have here, not in abundance. It's like the rabbit tobacco. I had to greatly hunt, and I found two more plants the other day after they come through. My dad actually bush hogged across the road on the power line, and I rode up the edge of it because you could kind of see on back in there a little more. And I found two or three more tall plants that were starting to bloom. So I found a little bit of rabbit tobacco. The lamb's quarters is kind of the same way, and it's because there's been so much like grazing in the pastures. The cows eat up everything that comes up. The power lines all get mowed and sprayed and all that now, so there's been a lot of medicinal plants killed out, and there's not as much of it as it used to be. So, um, but we are supposed to have lamb quarters, but I have not fooled with it, and it is an edible plant. I do not know about the seed on it. I'm behind on my comments, y'all. I get to talking and I don't read everything. And Randall Ross said baptize him. Yeah, that's what I was doing with that chicken, baptizing him. There's Kyle, showed up. We didn't know if you was coming or not. Everybody been worried to death if you was coming or not tonight. Oh. Francisco, okay, like in San Francisco. I'm with you now. I got you. Francisco. I'm slow, but I ain't that slow, you know. I mean, I ain't so slow I don't get it. But I'm with you now. But I live in southern middle Tennessee, like, oh, okay, around Chattanooga, somewhere around that area. I go up to the western parts of Tennessee pretty regular. I don't quite make it over to Uncle Sasquatch's village, which is west of Nashville, I think. Somewhere out in the rural areas out there. I'm we're trying to get geared up to go on a fishing trip on the Cumberland River, but everything's not. Well, we've had funerals and I've had a lot going on, and now I've got to catch up some pottery orders that we promised out by the 15th of next month. I've got to get done, and so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it up there to that trip before they leave and come back home. They got some sick folks that they got to go check on. If I had went up there, I had fully planned to swing by and surprise Uncle Sasquatch when I went through that area. But I don't know that we even gonna get to go now. But I love Tennessee, y'all. Every time I go to Tennessee, especially over in the fall of the year, it's always cooler than it is here. And I'm like so ready for cooler weather that I get up into Tennessee and I'm like, oh, it just feels so good. And I've been all through Tennessee. Bushcraft, we've got plenty of bone set here now. That is, in fact, I pulled up some today. Unchained said he rides his motorcycle through Pennsylvania winter to build up his immune system because he don't have a car. Hey, that'll do it. My daughter don't have a car either. Just ask God to give you a car. That's what I'd do. He's got plenty of them. He said you have not because you ask not. Tim's for Franklin County. I think I know about where that's at. I have not been there. Yeah, Jessica, that plantain, throw that in there to your chickens, okay? Just trust me. Throw some plantain occasionally in them chicken pens. It is good for them. Helps them digest. Helps them in many ways. I've just watched it heal things. What blowed my mind was when I had a rooster that I swear I think it was Merrick's, because he was staggering around and falling over and stumbling like he was drunk as Cooter Brown. And I said, well, he ain't gonna make it. I said, but you know what? I got some plantain right here. Let's see what happens. I throwed it in there, and he was still strong enough to eat the plantain. So I said, well, let's see. Tomorrow I went by, he had eat it all. I throwed another handful in there. You believe that chicken got better? He got sick again about 2 weeks later, and I started throwing plantain in there again. He pulled through. Now, granted, He didn't make it past a raccoon that got in the cage with him. The plantain didn't help that not one bit. Oh Lord! But anyway, it does work on animals. Now I don't know how you'd get a dog to eat it, but I figure if you could get a dog to eat plantain, it'd probably cure the worms in him. Reckon that Spigelia marilandica is supposed to expel worms in a root decoction. But being a dog is very small, and I was reading in Mr. Charles Millsfall's book that back in 1870 something, one doctor killed a couple of young'uns with it, overdosed them, he did. So I'd be careful about fooling with that plant in large doses. But it is supposed to, the Native Americans use it to expel worms. Like if your kid got not ringworms, that's a fungus, roundworms or tapeworms, it would get rid of them. Kyle, you got plantain, you just ain't looking in the right place. But I tell you what, when you come down this way sometime, I can get you plenty of seed. I got plantain seeds everywhere. Actually, I don't know if I got very many now. I mowed a bunch of them down the other day. And I wait till they seed out good, and then I run over it, and it'll start putting out new plant, but it'll scatter all them seeds everywhere. Hello from Florida, Ed Smith. Welcome. Transplanted from West Virginia. You come from up there around Mike Reed's territory and some of these other folks. Down into Florida. Is that what they call a snowbird? I've heard that term. I don't know. I like Florida. There's some good folks down in Florida. I've got a lot of people that watch in Florida, and I have to try to find them and remember who all is in Florida. And when one of these hurricanators come up through there, I have to call them and make sure they pull through. And I just afraid at some point, y'all, I get attached to a lot of y'all, get used to seeing your comments pop up. And then all of a sudden, there'll be somebody that's commented on every video for a while, and all of a sudden you don't see them comment no more for a while. And you don't know if they just got frustrated with social media and deleted it, or if something happened to them, And I know at some point I'm going to find out something happened to somebody and it's going to hurt. You get attached to people. I've got more friends through YouTube now than I do personally right here that in walking distance. I mean, it's just worked out that way. I've met some really great people. I know a lot of people will sit here and tell you how awful social media is. Man, Facebook's of the devil, and there's a lot of bad on it, no doubt. But I have found so many good people out there, y'all. I have got one of the greatest fan bases so far, and I hate to call it fan bases. Because I don't really feel like some kind of celebrity. I'm just an average old guy. But the people that follow, I get very little negativity. I guess I say this over and over when we're talking live, but I can't help but be thankful that y'all are some great people. I don't get a lot of negativity. I get a little, and I usually let it roll off until it's something that I feel like, I need to kick back at times just so they know I'm a man. Like that bull, Jerry Clower said had some bulls out there on the property and said they brought in a new bull and said they was out there, old diesel truck pulled up and said there's 2 bulls or 3 bulls standing there at the fence already and said, man said, I don't like it. Said, Mr. New Bull said he's going to be in a bad state of affairs. He said, the biggest bull there, he said, I got 50 cows. He said, them 50 is mine and I ain't giving them up. The next bull said, well, there ain't about 30 cows that I got. Said, well, I ain't giving up them 30. And the youngest bull there, he said, well, I ain't got but about 5 cows that even like me. But he said, I ain't willing to give up them 5. And said, old bull come off there and said that was the biggest, meanest looking Brahma bull you ever seen. Said he come off there snorting, said he didn't have to look through the fence, said he just flat-footed looked over the fence. Said there's the biggest bull you ever seen. Said the first big bull said, said I've been doing some thinking, said it was mighty ugly the attitude I've had, said I believe I'll share with him. And said the second bull said, I believe I'll share with him too. He said, I need to repent of my ways. And said the third young bull said he just tore out of the stall, just busted out with the pawing and a snorting. and said, man, they holler, man, that thing will kill you. Said you better watch out. Said that bull said he'll tear you apart. Said you crazy. What are you doing? Said he come back. He said, well, he said I just wanted him to know for sure that I was a bull. So, sometimes I just want people to know I'm a bull too. It ain't that I necessarily think I need to whoop all of them. I just want them to know I'm a bull too. If you listen to Jerry Clower tapes while you was spotlighting raccoons, you was walking in high cotton. You was living a dream, man. I'm telling you. Especially if you hear them talk about old John Eubanks. Knock him out, John. Tobacco has been a dewormer for a long time. I seen Randall Ross said his grandpa would just spit dogs, chewing tobacco in dogs' mouth. I've heard people getting snuff and giving it to mules and cows and horses and stuff to worm them. So I think it would work. Got my first muscadine grapes off a volunteer vine. They were delicious. I've been picking some out here off the the duck pen. But I didn't get very many this year. I don't know. I've pruned on some of them vines to keep them from growing way up the trees. Seems like that keeps them from producing much fruit. But now, I didn't have a lot of the purple ones down yonder, but I did have a lot of the scuppernons, the green ones. So, your ADHD, Kyle said his ADHD pulls him into other genres at times. I usually call them generes because that's the way it's spelled. It's genre, but it just makes people cringe when I say genre. That's like when they post on Facebook them memes, the memes. I call them memes because that's what it looks like. That way people don't think I'm so smart. Oh, my ADHD, all right, tobacco has been, I'm a fan, great entertainer, something you don't see much. It's a chore for people to be clean and be funny. I try to pull it off occasionally. Reed Mitchell, Pennsylvania, the Allegheny National Forest. I have heard a lot about that forest. I would love to get my canoe up in there, paddle some of them streams, and traipse around and see what all I could get into up there. That is beautiful country from what I've seen. It's like upstate New York is beautiful. I would love to come see some of that at some point. Diana Bowen, yes, ma'am. From now on, as long as I have functioning internet and there's not some life-changing event taking place on Friday night, we will have what is known as Live from Mississippi every Friday night at about 7 Central Time. Now, we may change the time later in the year as it gets colder. We may change the setting. I don't know. And if I have events going on somewhere, I've got to be out of town, going places, doing things, whatever's going on, we may adjust it to different nights. I will usually post on the community post when we're going to be going live that evening. I like to give people a heads up if I can. But sometimes I don't know until today. I don't plan my future out very much. What I call fly by the seat of my britches, like I'm doing here. I just sit here and rattle off at the mouth, and whatever y'all pop up talking about this, what goes. But I do plan on doing every Friday night. However, it'll be adjusted depending on what happens, and it'll be just sitting here talking about whatever you guys bring up in the comments. So there'll never be a planned out thing. Yeah, we are going to see about selling some raccoon meat here this year. I've got a lady that knows some people that'll buy them. I don't personally know anybody here that'll buy them from me, so I'm going to go in halves with her. She said she can get $10 for them. I said, well, I'll sell them to you for $5, cleaned and ready to go, and that beats me because I'm going to clean them for the hide anyway. And if I can get $5 and I ain't got to ride around looking for somebody to buy them, that's a winner for me. I just take them down there to her and she can deal with them from there. Tried rabbit tobacco for the first time. Wasn't a huge fan. Gonna try it again. It is a strong, distinct flavor. It is an acquired taste. I like weird things. I like goldenrod. I like to mix rabbit tobacco with goldenrod. It has a real fall flavor to me. You can add a little honey to it. You can, but it is good for colds. When you've got colds, rabbit tobacco is good for that. Dan Davis, the beaver trapping here is the problem is this swamp. The people that manage this swamp trap beavers. That is what they look. They have about wiped the beavers out. We bad need beavers in this swamp to build some dams in the river, but they keep tearing them out. They think they're doing us a big favor. But right now, there's no water in the swamp at all, or except in those holes. That's why you're not seeing a lot of fishing videos. However, I can get to the deeper holes, and we could do some grinnell fishing, and probably going to do that at some point next week, hopefully. Um, so I'm looking at, and I have had some landowners contact me about trapping beavers on their property. However, I'm so busy I don't have time to take on trapping jobs. I did that one year, and it like to kill me. And then I took this one job, and I never did catch a beaver, but I found out the guy had shot at him right before he called me, and he actually had killed 2 or 3 beavers and thought he missed them. And I trapped for like 2 weeks, never caught a beaver. Charged the man like I think $200 to set up, and never caught a beaver. And I felt really bad about that, but I had no idea that he. Anyway, what fall or winter crops? Here we will be planting mustard greens and turnip greens, and then cabbage and collards is usually the staple, and then probably gonna put in some more onions. I had my best crop of onions this spring I have personally ever grown. I've not grown a lot of them, but I'm gonna be growing. So those are the main things that we'll put in. I don't go crazy in the fall planting stuff. I do plant a good bit of turnip greens, and then they just kind of on their own, and I don't eat a third of them. So Randall Ross drinks pine needle tea and honey quite often. I love pine needle tea. That was one of the first things that I ever made or used was pine needle tea. Has a lot of vitamin C in it, better than orange juice. Pound for pound, way better than orange juice. So if you're sick and you need vitamin C, pine needle tea is the way to go. Jessica, I can't get her to even make her own videos. She's a little bit camera shy, and she thinks she has got to edit them to a T, and she don't really just wing it. She gets tongue tied when she gets in front of the camera, and she don't like being on camera a whole lot. I struggle to get her on camera. I try to get her to make enough videos. If she would make videos on a regular basis and do the Canon and stuff, she could get her channel monetized probably, and people think we don't make a lot of money off YouTube. On a good week right now with a couple of videos that have absolutely blowed up, and one of them was an old wild lettuce video, and then there was one other video that done really good for a while. It got up to about $400 a month, but usually you average about $250 a month at the level I'm at right now. So you don't make a lot of money. Make money selling stuff. And that's why, I've tried to make some but you get a lot of work going into that kind of stuff. Now, all the T-shirts have went to the Etsy store. I'm selling them through it. That way, I just quit fooling with them. I was looking at questions. I had seen a question. Chris said, "Are you going to be deer hunting with Casey this year?" Very possible. Casey is probably about the closest friend I have. And when he gets time off, he loves to bow hunt. Casey is a diehard bow hunter and usually kills a couple of good deer with a bow every year, and better than I am at it, really. He's really studies deer hunting. He gets excited about it. And but usually I get him to come up here and paddle around in a canoe with me and do some black powder hunting. One of the problems we're gonna have this year is I think they're changing some of the laws, and it may be buck only in the swamp this year. I think they're gonna do away with the doe killing because there's so many people that come up here and they just stack does. I mean, they have, and there's not that many deer in that swamp, and they are starting to realize that that swamp don't have the deer in it that they thought it did. So they have been doing some studies and seeing how many deer they see at night riding around shining light, and they find out they ain't that many down there. So everybody coming to the Mountain Warrior Wildlife Refuge to deer hunt, there's a lot of people hunting and not killing a whole lot. And the only thing they killing is some little. Man, I seen y'all. They kill some spikes and I probably kids doing it. I'm okay with letting a kid shoot whatever he sees. I mean, that's just the way it ought to be. But grown adults shooting illegal deer, shame on you. You know what I mean? If you that hungry, illegal deer ain't that hard to kill. It may be down there, there's a lot of traffic down there, a lot of pressure. It's hard to hunt that swamp. That's why I like the canoe. Case usually comes up here and gets in the canoe with me. I figure he'll be up here for the year's over. Yeah, maybe we'll have a griddle cook. I would love Kyle to go down there and catch a griddle and cook it on the creek. Great job on the buckskin shirt. Thank you, David. Tried some sumac lemonade. They bulldozed all my sumac. Somebody asked why I never did make no sumac. After I filmed that video of them plants, the landowner down there, which he was cleaning up trying to make pasture, he had got somebody to get a dozer to come in and clean all them piles up so all that sumac was gone, which is fine. I mean, I didn't need it. I just was filming it. And if I really wanted to make the video, I could get on the road. I know several places. There's some on the side of the road. A lot of people frown on picking stuff off the side of the road. But here in these rural areas, there's not that much traffic as in like on a major artery highway. So the exhaust fumes is the least of my concerns. I'm more concerned about when the county come by spraying poison on it and it don't kill the plants until 2 weeks later or at least a week later. And if you come by to that, usually if you're careful, you can smell that poison. I can. I would assume most people can, but that would be my biggest fear. Once you reach about 15,000 subscribers, well, we should hit 15,000 subscribers tonight. It was at 14,980 something today when I looked. We should be at 15,000 subscribers by tomorrow. And I would say it already is gaining some traction, especially when my talking videos seem to do well. And a lot of people go back and watch these live chats. The only problem is we at 112 minutes. I mean, we at over an hour and a half now, and a lot of people ain't gonna sit there and listen to all that, especially when they cannot read your comments. That is my deal with it. And somebody said, "Oh, you can put the comments on." Y'all, when this live is over, I have not found where I can put the comments in the video or not. The first one I did, they was on there the next day. One of them I looked back and they wasn't on there, and I don't know how to turn them on and off. No, maybe I'm just an idiot. I don't. Nathan said I'm at 15 now. There you go. We're at 15,000. Y'all want to celebrate? I'll celebrate with another sip of cold coffee. My wife's in there with a door shut, or I would holler. Randall Ross has retracted his comment. He must have said an ugly word. I'm kidding. He didn't. I promise you he didn't. Oh, me. But we are at 15,000. Yes, I want to cook. He wants me to season with sumac. I'm going to have to check into that. I have not food with any seasoning. Yep, 15,000. Y'all, I never believed when I started making videos that I would have 15,000 people subscribe to a channel of just an old country boy, just talking about life and even preaching the gospel. And I don't know that much about medicinal plants, y'all. I just started reading books about it. I know a little. But like Mike Reed has been studying medicinal plants for 40 years and a wealth of knowledge. And it breaks my heart the way YouTube has done him over that. I mean, find a man say there's something questionable in the video. And from what I understand in Mike Reed's video, they thought there was something that would cause cancer using a medicinal plant there. Well, go tell him, hey, we think this is unsafe. And if the man takes the video down, that one video down, there should be no more question about anything else. There should be no strike like, well, you know, that's number one. If you do it again, we're going to block you. If somebody's willing to work with you and you say, hey, I don't like this video you made, and they say, okay, and take it down, where is there a problem? If they say, hey, you got a video up we don't like, we think this is unsafe, and they're like, well, I don't care. This is my channel, and I put what I want on it. Well, then, then you've got a problem. That I can see that. But when you're watching a man clearly, maybe Mike made a mistake and did put something that would cause cancer. Me personally, they would have to prove to me that whatever he used in there, that it really did cause cancer before I could justify them. So I don't know. But anyway, here I am, just an old guy out here talking about this, that, and the other, just living life and just basically turn the camera on when I'm doing something. You wonder how I make so many videos. Well, I don't stage things. I don't try to put on a production. I'm really living the life that you see. And when I'm out doing something, I think, well, this would make a good video, or this would be, or people might want to see this. I just turn the camera on while I'm doing whatever I do that day. And it's just life. It's not stage production. Now, I have worked with the camera enough now, 6 years into this, I think we are, that I know how to get a little better quality on my videos. I love editing. I'll be honest with you, that is what sets me apart probably from some of the others, is I enjoy the editing process. My wife can't stand editing videos. I've heard other people talk about, I hate editing. I love filming, I hate editing. I enjoy it. It's relaxing. It's like putting a puzzle together. It's like art. It's like me making something down there as far as a knife. I enjoy making a knife. Well, I enjoy making these videos. I enjoy sitting there cutting and seeing how well I can put that clip together. Sometimes it's hard to do because Brody's over there trying to tell me some big tale while I'm editing. And he's been in there asleep. He took a late nap. I know y'all hadn't seen a whole lot of Brody in videos, but Brody's getting to that stage where he'd rather play than be standing here on YouTube. So I'm not going to force him into videos. And then I had some people ask about it. He's on there in his underwear. These pedophiles be watching that. And that never crossed my mind, but I really don't think none of y'all are, I don't know, but some people just was worried that they might be. And there are crazy people out there. I don't know. So anyway, I just never thought there'd be 15,000 people subscribed to an old country boy, but it's still growing. And the thing that surprises me is at the stage I am now, people are asking me to come preach places. And I never really thought that would happen either, which I guess I kind of did. I knew God wanted me to do that. So, if you're pastoring a church and you've got a place and you would like me to come preach, speak, teach the Word of God, I'm open to that. I'm not soliciting places to preach. I'm content to sit here and teach on YouTube and live my happy little life. However, if you need me to, I need you to pay for me to get there, pay for me a place to stay. I'm not trying to do it for the money, but it costs me to go places. Anyway, that is how it got to be what it is and how we got started. Sitting behind a bus right now. Randall Ross, where y'all planning on this squirrel hunt? I am probably coming. I have talked to my buddy Don Lanier where I went and we hunted on that mountain, deer hunted. I told him, I said, I want to come this fall. I want to get on that mountain. We're going to camp out on it and flintlock squirrel hunt. He's got a flintlock rifle, and his is, I think, a 32 caliber. And we're going to camp out and and that'll be on East Alabama over there. So I don't know, Randall, how far over into Georgia you are, right where y'all at, but I may be over that way over in the fall. Scott Rawls, get them lines set out. In the spring is the best because they running. I would set around the edges of them deepest holes right now if I was going to set limb lines. Find where them are. 8MA said you had me walking around barefooted. I love to go barefooted. I feel connected to the earth. I got to where I wear shoes depending on where I go because I don't know, a lot of it is not stickers. It is the bush hogging. When you come in and bush hog around trails, and my dad's been bush hogging some, and I get out and walk, them little sharp stems sticking up they make a nice hole in the bottom of your foot. It don't matter how tough your feet are. But now I do love to go barefooted. Yeah, Diana, Brody will eventually have his own channel. He's gonna have to get big enough to edit it though. I can't edit his videos for him. He's got the camera I started with. It's an old camcorder style digital 720. Flips out, got this great. It was a cheap camera. We bought it for my daughter, but he been toting it around playing with it. So you never know. You in North Georgia. I eat in Tupelo pretty regular, Dan Davis. There's a bookstore a Goodwill bookstore in Tupelo that I love to stop at. I was there here not long ago. They have a lot of good classical literature. I know y'all, man. I come home with Deerstalker and Last of the Mohicans by James Fenimore Cooper. I have picked up some Edgar Allan Poe there. I have picked up Sophocles there. In fact, I come on with Sophocles the other day, the 3 plays. I like a lot of crazy stuff, y'all. But I like classics. But there's a great bookstore there, and I've been there, and so we usually eat it. I think there's a Longhorn there, if I ain't mistaken. We've eaten at a couple of times. Anyway, like Tupelo, we've got had a store, may have a store now that has pottery in it there. If you're not far from Chattanooga, Randall Ross, we were not far when I was in Alabama. We actually went and eat in Rome, Georgia. How far are you from Rome, Georgia? We have goat heads and sandspurs. Yeah, we got all them. We got all that stuff. Right now, those little sandspurs ain't that bad. Right now, we got the what I call the hog buyers at Amaranth. It's spiny Amaranth. Anyway, it's tough because we've bush hogged it and it's laying down, and I've stepped on that out there picking through stuff. No, we don't have fox squirrels in the swamp. However, they are everywhere around my yard. They up here in these hills and the pine thickets, fox squirrels. Down in the swamp, you see very few. And you see very few of the wolves, the botfly that bites them and makes a big knot on the side of their head. You don't have a lot of that down in the swamp. But up here in these hills, they'll be eat up with them over in the fall. That is why I don't like an early squirrel season. I like a frost before I kill a rabbit or a squirrel, but usually I'll go on and squirrel hunt. And I'll kill 2 or 3. And if I start seeing a lot of them wolves, I'll quit hunting and come to the house. It does not hurt the meat. You can still skin it and eat the squirrel. It's just nasty. It's hard to eat something after you've seen something that nasty. I just, but I mean, it don't hurt it. Cal, that amaranth, let me tell you about it. We got it here. Grows in an abundance. But the bugs eat it up fast as it grows. You cannot hardly get it before the bugs eat it up. They have eat up all now. You can't find a leaf nowhere on pokeweed. It's just the red stems and the berries at this point. There's no leaves on none of it. So the amaranth is the same way. It's got to be good because bugs eat it first. I guess that's how you walk around and determine what's the best wild edible to eat is you look right now and see what the worms is eating up. And I'll tell you what's doing it. You see all the butterflies hatching out. Well, them worms gorge themselves right prior to turning into a butterfly, and they will eat stuff slam up. So that is what's happening. Chris, I love Last of the Mohicans movie. I watched the other day, y'all. I watched a movie I hadn't watched in a while. I watched Dances with Wolves, and I had forgotten how great of a movie that was. That is a really good movie. But now I have watched. I stole Brody's 42-inch TV and put it back in my room. He don't never watch his room junked up. He watches in the living room anyway. We had put our big TV that we used to have in his room, and I had a little big one in my room. So I took his last night and then put the 42 back in my bedroom. I have watched Mountain Men the last 2 nights in a row. I mean, I sat there and watched the whole movie through, turned around, watched it again next night. Randall Ross told me, said, to be in them, go to them shows, you got to be able to quote Mountain Men and Jeremiah Johnson. Well, I got that down. I can quote both of them. And I watched some of The Revenant, but they talk a little too ugly in The Revenant. Now, Mountain Man, I wished he had a refrain, all that GD he used, and that just gets under my skin. I don't know if y'all, but profanity, y'all, just irks me. It burns me to no end to hear somebody going blankety, blankety, blankety. There's no reason for it. There's no need in it. If you talk like that, I don't want to talk to you. I mean, that's such a good movie that I endure it for that, but I do not like it, not one bit. It grates my nerves to hear GD come out of somebody's mouth. I mean, there's a guy that down in South Louisiana that makes about that cornbread. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I would love to watch him cook and do stuff, but he has to blankety blank cornbread, and I just on out of the way, fella. You ain't got nothing I want to see if you're gonna talk like that. I don't know how y'all feel about it, but that's just the way it is. You're reading The Alchemist right now. I may want to check that out. Who wrote The Alchemist? I'll find out. I'll look it up. The Alchemist. Is it like a fantasy style book? The Alchemist? And I'm way behind y'all on comments. Yep. Glad to see some Tar Heels in here. They say you only eat the poke leaves when they're first young ones in the spring and parboil 3 times. Well, I just did a video, Amanda, on the pokeweed. You can eat it anytime. I eat a whole plate full of it. I picked it the other day. I mean, it's fine. The deal is it tastes better and the young tender shoots are just tender. It is not that it's less poisonous. I boiled it 3 times, strained the water off, and eat it. I'm fine. I'm still here. I made another video. I hadn't died yet. So eating no pokeweed is not as poison. I will tell you this. I used to watch Duke some over at Rough Cut Homestead. And I seen he tried to cook the stalks, and he just baked them in the oven. That don't work because you have to boil and get it up to temperature, and the water leach out some of that medicinal properties and pour it away. Just baking it, cooking it, don't kill the medicinal property in it and the toxicity. So you have to boil it. He got bad sick, and he said he thought he was dying that night. So, I mean, be careful with things. I eat 2 pokeberries today. When I walk by pokeberries, I'll grab me 2 or 3 and eat them. They're good to stimulate your metabolism. You know, and I need that. They my gut getting. We've been eating good around here, y'all. I got to get back on that deer meat a little more faithful. Lean meat. I've been wanting to cook poke salad. Haven't since my granny passed. Good eating, yes. It's good. It's better in the spring. Wait in the spring when them shoots is coming up and you know where they are, be able to identify them young shoots when they get up about 16 to 20 inches tall. That's the best time to cut them off because they'll put out new shoots again. You can keep cutting it off as long as that root's underground. It'll keep putting shoots up. Army worms come across here. I've got a lot of them bagworms, and I had them army worms showed up on my, and I put it in a video. You may have missed it, but they got on my sawtooth oak. They love to eat my sawtooth oaks up. They'll eat the whole tree if you don't catch them. I caught them when they first started on it. I cut the whole limb off, throwed it in the chicken pen. I don't have any more army worms. Them chickens will thin them. They'll take care of that. Kyle, you'll have a lot better life without all that profanity. You find out, and a lot of people say, well, somebody that cusses a lot is not intelligent. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna question somebody's intelligence just because they use profanity. I will question their respect for others. That would be where I would consider that. The more you cuss, all that tells me is you have no respect for other people. You only think of yourself, and that's what that tells most people. Uh, I don't. When I used to drink, I cussed like a sailor. I was down on the beach one night. We was drunk. We was cussing like a sailor, and I had this lady looked at me and she scolded me. I'm talking about she talked to me like I was a little kid, and I stood there and said, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am." What could I do? She was right. I was wrong. So I have been called out on it. I used to cuss a lot, and now that I get older, I realize there really wasn't no need in all that, and a lot of people didn't really want to hear all that. So that has a lot to do. Profanity leads to nudity. I'm not going to argue with that. I don't know. Can't expound on that. I know when I used to cuss, I used to wind up naked occasionally, but I thought that was more along the lines of what the alcohol did than the profanity. But hey, it could have been either one. The Warrior of Light. Warrior of Light. I didn't bring my notepad. I had a notepad last week that I was writing stuff on. The Alchemist, Warrior of Light. I have to look up some of these books. I love books, y'all. If they something like you want, a lot of people just want to send me stuff. If there's anything that I like to get in the mail or to go buy at thrift store, it's books. I love books, and I like old books, classic literature, good books. I love books. So, if you're looking for something cheap to send me, like you just want to send me a gift, I love books. I am a book fanatic. I have books everywhere. I don't know why. So open the front cover up and write to Justin from so and so, whatever. I don't have a problem with all that. It's not like I'm going to resell them, worried about the monetary value. It's sentimental to me. So, hey, there's y'all a good idea if you like birthday presents. Because you can go to a thrift store and buy a book for 50 cents. I love medicinal plant books. I love classic literature. And I love mountain man stories. Not big into westerns. And I collect John Grisham books, but I like the big hardcover books. I don't pick up paperback John Grishams because, when I collect, and it's because he is a very good writer and he's from Mississippi. Not big on law and mystery and all that, but now I love Sherlock Holmes. I have all the Sherlock Holmes. Uh, I love poetry. I love poetry. I have William Blake. I have. Lord, I don't know if I could sit here and name off the Dickens married. What's the Dickens girl? It's not Charles Dickens. What is the Dickens lady's name? Anyway, y'all know who I'm talking about. Her, Robert Foster. Uh, uh, I'm trying to think of who all else. Obviously, I've got most of Edgar Allan Poe. I've got all of William Shakespeare. I've got like a whole volume of William Shakespeare. Um, Great, there's a lot of great poets that I love all that stuff. Anyway, I know I'm getting behind on the comments here. I get to talking Paul something I can't pronounce. So Paul that rewrites the Warrior of Light and the Alchemist, I will look that up. I have deep fried the stalks like okra. Didn't bother me, but I didn't eat much at all. Kyle Duke, eat it. Go watch Rough Cut Homestead and watch his experience with the. You'll have to search it. The poke stalk. I don't know what he named the video, but he was out there dumping them out of froze bags because he said he liked to die. It's bad stomach ache. From my understanding, pokeweed, too much of it will shut your respiratory system down in the studies. So you wonder. They're good for arthritis. Yes, the old timers took them for arthritis. They froze them and took them like pills. Paul Coelho. I looked that up. Now, Cal, don't dwell on that image. You'll lose your supper if you do. Oh, Lord. Emily Dickinson. Thank you, Crystal. Emily Dickinson. I just bought one of her books at a thrift store up there in, I think I was in a thrift store in Tupelo, Mr. Dan. Y'all got two out there on if I ain't mistaken, I was on the east side of town. Anyway, found a bunch of good books out there. And I tell you another books, I look for wild game cookbooks. I like them. I pick them up when I find one. Emily Dickinson, that's it. Paul's the author. We got that. Do you have your post office address list, sir? Jessica, email me. I try not to put my personal address out on YouTube. I have put my email address, and then because if I put my physical address and then some stalker, somebody wants to act crazy, they can find where you live, and which I'm gonna be honest with you, people can find you. It don't matter how hard you try to hide. If they really want to find you, they'll find you. I just don't want to make it easy for them. So email me, justinpeden@gmail.com. That email is on several other videos in the descriptions of several. I don't know. It's JUSTINPEDEN@gmail.com. And then I'll get you an address and drowning in books up here and keep ordering more. Amanda, I am the same way. I have two huge bookshelves in the living room that is full of a lot of my religious study. Now, y'all, I do not do a lot of like religious self-help books, like, I just, because there's a lot of theology in there that may be biased to one ideology. So I just steer away from it. Now, I do like all the old philosophy. I read a lot of that stuff. I take it with a grain of salt, not necessarily that I agree with it. But when you start getting into religious books, now there is one I do want. If y'all find, and I have looked everywhere and have not found this book, Emanuel Swedenborg and his book on hell. I want that book. It is an old book. It was a red covered book. And it is his experience and his interpretation of hell. It was supposed to be a revelation he had back in the maybe the 1700s, I think. May have been early 18. I don't remember right when it was written. But he had an experience in hell and wrote about it, and like it started a whole movement and created a huge revival back in the old days. And it's Emanuel Swedenborg, I think is how you pronounce that. If anybody finds that book, now that would be one of the few religious books I would be interested in. I just don't dive off into a lot of religious books because It's like people telling you, well, this is what you ought to think about, how this. And now, when I get religious book, and I have most of what it is like Bible commentaries. I have several different ones of them in volumes. I don't. I would like to have T.D. Jakes's um, commentary. He's got a good one, and there was one more, the Believer's Bible commentary. I think I want one of those. I don't have everything else. I got Strong's, all that other stuff. I don't use a lot of that. I did find the other day in a thrift store a Nave's Topical Bible, and it come in greatly when I was having to speak at funerals, and I could look up scriptures on death and had every scripture about death that the Bible had. That was a huge help for speaking. Would it be a Bible that I would just sit down and read through? No, but studying, it was great. I have a chronological Bible, and I have not really got into reading it. They say it is very interesting to sit down and just read the chronological Bible, and the scriptures are in order in which the Bible happened. So I hear Brody in there making racket. How much for arthritis? Alexander, I take like 2 pokeberries at a time to swallow them, and they help for that. However, the greenbrier root taken over time, and I've been making a tea out of it pretty regular, is supposed to help with inflammation and arthritis as well, and not have any toxicity in it and dangers. And you can find those big knot greenbrier roots. You can dig them up pretty much year round. Probably they are stronger after the winter when the plant kind of dies, the foliage dies back. Because a lot of times root plants, the medicinal values go from the plant back down into the root and get stronger in the wintertime. So if that helps. Foxfire series is great. I have all the Foxfire books. Love them. Foxfire books, I would encourage everybody to have a whole set of those. They're great books. If nothing else but for history, to study. I mean, they're entertaining. David from Arizona, greetings. High blood pressure with turmeric. I have not used much turmeric. I have put it in fire cider, I think. To McKay's used bookstore, I have not. Where is McKay's at? What town is McKay's in? Is that in Tupelo as well? I have not heard of that. I will be checking out. I know there's one down in Jackson that I have heard of that I have not been to yet either. I want to go check out. I have some friends that live right here that have been to Jackson. Said there's a wonderful bookstore down there. So I'm gonna go check that out at some point. But organizing your toolbox there in Kentucky, I'm thinking about pulling mine off my truck. I want to build. I've got some trampoline legs. I'm gonna build me a canvas bed cover, camper style cover where I can put my canoe up on the back of my truck, and I'm gonna paint my truck OD green, flat OD green at some point, like an army truck. I got a man wanting to buy my Bronco, and I have all this time been thinking I'm gonna get my Bronco running to make videos, and now I'm like, with everything going on and my daughter's car tore up and all, I'm seriously thinking about parting with it. I have hated to. Do you use an apothecary? No, I do not. I just pick herbs and dry them and make tea in the coffee pot normally. Now, I do like to do it on my wood stove during the winter when it's running, but like right now in the summer, I got them little screen tea balls, and I pack it full of goldenrod and rabbit tobacco or whatever I'm making tea out of, and drop it over in the coffee pot. I pour the water in the back, and it just infuses, and that is the way I make tea most commonly. I just dry it and store what I'm storing in jars normally. Chattanooga. Okay, Mindy, I have not been to Chattanooga in a while. I will, when I pass through there, I'll have to check that out. Foxfire is an awesome set of books. I would encourage everybody to have the Foxfire books. Got a big rattlesnake 3 days for the. Got bit by a big rattlesnake. 3 days of the baddest pain, headaches, back swelling. Sorry, but the snake died. You gotta have some bad blood. Grew up reading Fox. Never seen a Bronco. Larry, it's a 87 Eddie Bauer black Bronco, but it has not run in about 3 years. I drove it to town and cut it off and went in. We had a pottery shop uptown then that was just a storefront. We were making pottery out here and then carrying it to town and selling it. And I got back in the Bronco to come home and it wouldn't crank up. I had to hook a chain to it and drag it home. And I don't know what happened. I thought it wasn't firing, and I think it wouldn't fire. And we changed some parts on it. Had to put a new starter on it. Worked on it. It is firing. Still will not run. Has fuel up to. I don't know. I need somebody to work on it, and I'm a old broke poor fellow, and I don't have no money to spend on it. Mr. Dan, he does a lot of trapping out of a canoe. He has a YouTube channel. If y'all have not watched Judith and Dan Davis's YouTube channel, go check them out if you like trapping. Now, I know some of y'all that watch this channel kind of frown on the trapping. I respect that. I don't do a heap of it. I do enough to get by, basically to have hides that I want to use, or to keep some critters in check here that I need around my chickens, or to keep from eating my rabbits up. So, if you like trapping, though, Mr. Dan does a lot of it. He said he just ordered his first new canoe in his life, an Old Town 15-foot Discovery Sport, much bigger than my normal canoe. I want me one of Bill Swift's canoes. I'm gonna get one day, but they in the thousands of dollars. Like like a band that said thousands of dollars. Yeah. Larry, my problem with the Bronco is I don't have time. My daddy's got a good shop breakdown in, but he's building trusses in there, so I can't really pull it up in there and just tear it apart and keep tinkering on it when I got time. And I love those things. I've always drove Chevys. But now I fell in love with this old Bronco, and I'm not one of those Chevy guys that I hate Fords. I run a Ford Super Duty 7.3 service truck. Had, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of miles on that thing. It took forever to crank it, and all it needed was a new set of glow plugs in it. It was, the diesel engine, but it hauled a load everywhere it went, because it had a service bed with a crane on it, and for 2 or 3 years I run that thing every day all over this part of the country, working on equipment and big trucks, and it hauled all my tools, jugs of oil, sometimes transmission jacks, and a transmission jack for a big truck, if y'all not familiar with it, that thing probably weighs 150 to right at 200 pounds, about 150 pounds itself. And or at least the ours did, and it hauled a load everywhere it went. But it was a very good, trustworthy truck. I don't have a problem with it. But the Bronco, this is a full-size Bronco, Kerry, Eddie Bauer edition, 87 model, good-looking truck. It's got a dent in the back. Somebody swung the tire, that's on the rack around and let it go too far, and it bent that quarter panel. That needs fixing, but it's got it's my cousin wrecked it. Casey wrecked it. I bought it from him. And so the bumper is gone, and we put a homemade bumper on it. It looks okay, but it's not really great looking. But it's a good truck. I like it. And I don't know, it run good the whole time I had it, and all of a sudden when it quit, it just don't run no more. So I could probably fix it for a little nut, and I could take it somewhere and get it fixed. When I've got a running truck and other things that need money, it's hard to take your money and spend it on something that's just a toy, I would like to get it running, but now I've got a neighbor down the road, one of the he's finna be constable, and he's like, I want it to ride in to do my constable work. So I don't know. I might wind up selling it because really, if I need something right, I need to get something that's better on gas to ride around. That thing drinks a lot of gas. It's got a big tank in it. It'd take about 25 gallons to fill it up. But and other than that, we drive Nissans. I have had good luck with Nissans, and everybody says that's a foreign vehicle. No, it ain't. They make them right here in Canton, Mississippi. The company may be based out from over yonder in Japan somewhere, them Japanese, but they make the vehicles right here in Canton, Mississippi. And I know for a fact when I buy a Nissan, I'm putting Mississippians to work, and that is one of the reasons I buy them. But I've had good luck with Nissan vehicles. This Armada that we drive everywhere. I've been all over Tennessee. We've been to Texas a couple of times. I mean, been to the coast back and forth. We put a lot of miles on it, and it has been a good vehicle. So, but Toyota, I would say, especially the old Toyota Tacomas and stuff, we had a lot of experience with them. I never owned but one, and it was old 22R, old 80 something model, and it was a jam up good truck, and I sold it for a little of nothing. I think them boys paid me off in change with it when I got through. I think I sold it to them for like $400 or $500, but I didn't need it. It was a good old truck. But anyway, enough about that. I need to get it. I need to get it fixed. See you later, Bushcraft with the preacher. He's probably done been gone. That was 4 or 5 minutes ago. I'm slow on comments. Chris, my fishing, I'll be honest with you, the best fishing a man can do is standing on the bank. And the reason is you're not tampering around with the water. When you're in any kind of a boat, you're making racket in that water. Every time you bump that boat, them fish, what was that? But I love being in my canoe. The kayak is okay. The kayak goes places the canoe won't. It's lighter. I can drag it easier. The problem is I like the canoe because I can set up higher. It's more comfortable, and I can put more stuff in there. And if I shoot a deer, I can drag him over in there. I can lay more tackle boxes and a cooler in my canoe. I just can have more gear, more comforts. I prefer a canoe. I like a canoe. I like to fish out of a canoe. However, canoe kayak does a lot of spinning and turning. And if I want to carry Brody, I want to carry other people, the boat's better. And I'm not going to go get out on some of our bigger lakes in the canoe. I'm not afraid to. The problem is it takes so long to get to fishing holes. And if you're trying to go from this place to that place to that place to try, you get on a boat, you can get there, hop back and forth. It's easier. But you have to watch other boaters. They will run you over in a canoe or a kayak. So you have to keep all of this stuff in mind when you're out doing whatever you do. I love the canoe in this swamp. It's my go-to. Right now, there's no water. Like I said, all the beaver dams have been torn out. There's no beavers hardly in this swamp. There's beavers there. They're just not letting them build dams in it, draining the swamp out, and there's no water to go anywhere. You can't paddle a kayak up and down it right now. I'll show y'all in the next few days. We'll get some looks at some of the dry spots in that swamp, let you see what I'm talking about. Amanda, go eat. I hadn't eaten supper yet either, y'all. I smoked a wild hind quarter pig, and I have not eaten but a few bites of it in there on camera as I concluded the video. I've still got to go edit that tonight so that there'll be a video tomorrow. I may not put a video tomorrow. I may wait, put it up next week, and just spend tomorrow doing some stuff. I got to film just in time, and then that'll be out Sunday. So we will see what happens. Good night, Jessica. We'll see you next time. I will say this: you can catch fish if you got the energy to get where you want to go in a canoe kayak. You can catch as many fish as anybody in any boat out there. The benefits of a boat is getting to a place you want to fish faster and easier, being able to carry kids, older people can't get in this kind of stuff. That's the benefit of a boat. As far as just me, I'd rather have the quiet of the canoe paddling in the swamp, especially. Um, but my best fish I've caught has been from the bank because I didn't mess with water. You could just wear them out. Now, there's been times I've been in my canoe down there when they was right, and I just slaughter them in that canoe too. Y'all have seen it, or you can see it if you hadn't yet. You both go back to last fall and look at some of the grocery shopping videos in the swamp grocery shopping. There's a couple of crappie fishing videos late in the fall last year. I just whacked them and stacked them. So y'all can go see all that. Charlie T, what's up? Just another day in paradise. What was the 15,000 celebration? We have reached tonight while we were live 15,000 subscribers. Oh, that is what we were celebrating. Because we've been doing this for about 6 years and we've just now got to 15,000. But y'all, it has grown like really, really fast the last year. So I am trying to keep up with all the comments, the comments, the comments. Y'all are so great. I enjoy sitting here talking with y'all. I figure by Christmas we will be at 20,000, maybe well beyond that. I mean, we got a long ways to go. We already at 15. It seems like it hadn't been long. I did a knife giveaway last Christmas when we hit 5,000. And our deer season opens in, I think bow season will open around in about a month. I think they start in October, everything does. Used to, bow season opened the 1st of October, and then squirrel season would open about the 15th of October. Now they have moved all of it up together. They're talking about a really early velvet season this year, but it's like a couple of days, like maybe 3 days, and you have to buy an extra tag, and it's a money making thing. My problem is I've never really had a desire to kill a deer in velvet. I mean, have you ever seen a good knife handle out of a velvet deer antler? I hadn't. I see that coming out. You know, we promoting people just killing animals to be killing them. Well, the early here in colder climates have an early season. It's too early in Mississippi right now to be killing a lot of game out in the swamps and then having to drag it very far and load it on buggies and it being 2 hours before you get home with it. You know, because it's hot here. It's 80 degrees right now. Really 90 now. It'll by the time we have a season, the highs will be in the 80s in the day. That is too hot to have game laid out on the ground. So at that point, you're not promoting hunting for meat. And I struggle with just hunting and killing stuff just to brag about what I killed. Okay, I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of outdoor people that watch this I just want to kill that big buck. I like to kill a big buck. I do when I'm hunting, but I'm one of them people that, after I've killed one or two big bucks, I don't have no problem quitting. I don't have no problem letting him walk. It's like the white deer. There's a post on one of the pages I follow, a backwoods page, and they got this piebald deer, really. It's kind of spotted white, mostly white with some black spots, brown patches on it. And they asked the question, would you shoot this deer, would you pass? Number one, as a Native American mindset, they said it's bad medicine to shoot a white deer. Big no-no for the Native Americans. Does all Native Americans agree with that? By no means, no. Hey, some of them that'll shoot him just as fast as anybody else. So get that out of your head. But it was a general to most Native Americans. That's bad medicine. Don't shoot a white deer. That's bad mojo. Bad luck. 10 years of bad hunting. All this kind of stuff, or maybe 7 years of bad hunting. Anyway, it's bad luck to shoot a buck. For me, there's not very many of them. It's genetics. I probably gonna let him walk. You know, I mean, I just, unless he's just, probably one of them deals where you got to make that decision when I'm sitting there. But most likely, I'm probably gonna let that deer walk. And there's so many people out there. Oh man, I'm shooting him. And all it does tell me is it's just about what all you can kill. And y'all, I'm not. That ain't, look at things. I'm a middle of the road, like as far as politics, and I'm not talking about right wing, left wing. I'm just talking about in their principles and what they believe. And it's like conservatism. In other words, I believe in using every natural resource we had: gas, oil, trees, everything. But we are wasting. You take a clear cut property. They go in there and they cut the timber out and they just take what's best and they haul it up there and they make. And you go out there and look, especially in a hardwood cut over, all the tops of that tree. I mean, there's more wood left than what they hauled out of there. They run over and destroy all of the other trees to do this. And they just, boom, 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 boom. Well, what are they doing with this? A lot of it's making garbage that gets thrown in the ditch, making napkins at a fast food restaurant that get thrown out the window and back in the ditch before somebody gets home. Paper sacks with their greasy, nasty hamburger wrappers in it, thrown on the side of the road somewhere. I mean, this is what most of this makes. My problem is we just wasting stuff. I have no problem with using it. Look at the plastic bottles. I mean, we wasting a lot of petroleum, gas, and oil. I'm for driving my car. I'm for using equipment. I'm for oiling everything that needs oiling. But we got plastic running out our ears. Look up and down the road ditches. And y'all, these mentalities have carried over into hunting. It's just if I see something and I want to shoot it, boom. No respect for any other animal. I'm not out there trying to see how many possums I can shoot. I hate a possum. I see people saying, "Oh, let them possums go." If I see a possum, I'm not just shooting him on basic principle. Okay, I hate a possum. Did I mention that? I hate possums. Nasty. I'm not eating them. I just don't like them. They eat my chickens. If I catch one up here in my yard, dead possum. Okay, no questions. That's his sentence. I got chickens. I don't want possums. But if I'm off down in the swamp somewhere and there's a possum hanging on the side of the tree, I'm just as liable to walk by and scratch him on his back and walk on about my business as anything else. People, when they see something, they just shoot it out of general principle. They see a snake, don't care what kind of snake it is, don't know nothing about a snake. We just gonna shoot the snake because I don't like snakes. And I'm not. If he's not bothering me, he's not meddling with me. He gets his life, and I go on about that. Because, in a way, God created all these animals for a reason, and I got to trust him that he knew what he was doing. Even if I don't like that animal, I don't like spiders. I don't walk around hunting spiders to mash. But if there's one in my house and they're next to where I'm sleeping, I'm probably going to squish him and kill him. I mean, so it has a lot to do with where something's at as to what I'm going to do with it. But if I go to the woods to hunt, I'm not shooting every game that comes by unless I'm going to do something with it. I'm not going to just shoot every coon just because I see a coon. Unless, hey, I'm fixing to eat the coon or I'm going to use his hide. I'm going to, now if they up here in my corn, coon's got to go. And that's just one of the things I struggle with the deer hunting. People go deer hunting for a sport. And a lot of them, I have found deer carcasses in the side of the roads over here, and I don't know why people throw them in the ditch, in the like creeks. I mean, because the fish don't eat them. You leave it up there on the land where the coyotes can have a meal, and the buzzards possibly will eat some of it. But they're I gotta get my train of thought back here. I have found them in these ditches over here on these back roads, dirt roads, whatever, where people stowed them out, where all they did was cut the hindquarters off and the back straps out, and that was it. That is all they got. Well, I realize there's not a whole lot on the front shoulder. Now, if I shoot that deer in the front shoulder with a high-powered rifle, it's tore up. I neck shoot, and I neck shoot for the purpose, Roscoe, you all right? I shoot for the purpose in the neck of I don't damage my front shoulders, I don't damage the heart. Everybody's like, shoot him out of there, the heart's left. Man, the heart is the best piece of meat in a deer. If you have not cooked the heart out of a deer and fried it, you do not know what you're missing. Now, most of the people are like, I don't like it. Well, that's because you don't get past the idea of it's an internal organ. It is just a muscle that does this. And, you know, if you knew how good it was fried, you wouldn't be shooting a deer in the heart. I mean, I think, you know, a lot of people can't get past me. It's like me with the possum. Well, I've done walked by some old dead cows in the pasture when I was coming out of the woods at night, shine the light over. What's that eye? And go over there. Oh, God. And there'd be a possum crawling out of the belly of an old dead cow that somebody drugged down in the pasture. And y'all, it's just a buzzard with four legs. And I struggle with that. You see what I'm saying? I've heard everybody say, oh, put them under a wash tub, feed them corn such and such a number of days and clean them out. And you know, when it gets to where I need to eat a possum, I'll eat him. I'm not, you know, too good to eat a possum. But it's the mental thing. But now, when I shoot a deer, I'm using everything on it. My daddy told me one day I was skinning a deer out of there, and he said, son, you ain't leaving the coyotes much. I said, no, it's my deer. They didn't get nothing but a skeleton. And then I went back and drug half the bones back to the house and used them for knife handles. I mean, you know, I cut the brains out. I used that to tan the hide. I got the heart out of it. I got the liver for catfish bait. I didn't get any of the other guts, but I got the ribs. I got the front shoulders. I got the hindquarters. I cut the legs off and got the sinew out of them. I mean, the hides, tan. Look at all the uses out of all this stuff. And everybody else shoot them and cut the back straps out and throw it away. And it's due to either their laziness or their lack of knowledge on what all they can do with it, or, you know, so. Yeah, old Marcel Ledbetter possum hunted. He said, he was down there, said they'd been coon hunting, and said the prices dropped, said they got their check, said it was for a dime. They was trying to get enough money to go see a Tarzan picture show. So they took a possum hunting dogs, and they was down in the woods hunting possums for folks to eat. Said they was doing pretty good, and said they heard the train coming, and said Marcel went to hollering, run out there on the railroad track, got that lantern, wrapped his red bandana around it, went to waving that lantern. He was flagging that train. Said that train come screeching to a halt. Said 100-car banana train come to a halt. Said the engineer and the fireman jumped off, come running down out of Marcel. Said, what kind of emergency have we got here? And said Marcel said, I wanted to see if y'all wanted to buy a possum. The fella said, you must be an idiot. Said, you mean to tell me you have stopped a 100-car banana train just to see if we wanted to buy a possum? He said, well, since we have stopped here, he said, how much do you want for him? Marcel said, well, we ain't caught him yet. I just wanted to see if you wanted one. All right. Let me see where I am at. Yep, replace instead of repair. Nobody fixes nothing. I've been working on a washing machine for the last week. I blow in that hose and shake it real hard, it'll start working again. and we wash another load of clothes. My wife the next day will say, hey, I need you to fix your washing machine. I pull a drain tube out and whip until you hear that water bubble in there, and I stick it back in there right quick, and I rear the back up and boom, 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 bounce it good, and I pull a knob and it'll run again, and we wash another suit of clothes. I know y'all don't do stuff. I need something's in there hanging up in that water pump down there. Probably one of my good socks. Probably one of Brody's socks, if I had to guess. Got down in there and jammed something up, and I need to take it all apart and fix it, and I hadn't yet. Well, Jason, congratulations. I'm glad to hear that. I have seriously thought about going and trying to get an online course in botany and some of that stuff just to actually have some legitimate plant knowledge. Being that I am very interested in it now, I think I could learn it. When I was a teenager and right out of high school, if I had went into college, y'all, it would have done me absolutely zero bit of good. I would have been partying and chasing women and all that kind of stuff, and I would have not knew nothing. I wouldn't have known not a thing about medicinal plants. Now I could learn it. I can sit here and tell you the scientific name stuff and what to do. So, sometimes timing has a lot to do with. But anyway, I'm glad you're going and doing all that. Chris, that's kind of the way I was raised. I mean, there's no point killing stuff that you don't need. That animal has a right to be there and do stuff. I mean, I keep stuff at bay from my house. I don't let critter. And Roscoe's down there right now having a field day with something. I'm gonna have to get a light and go see what that is. So it's probably a possum down there now. He's barking. They got it bay though. It'll stay put till I get through live and then go down there and check it out. But if it ain't bothering me, I don't kill it. Well, Larry, you'll like this video too because I put Dale's and Italian dressing in this wild pig. But now I did a little different on the basting it too that makes a big difference. I want to go on a bear hunt. You said they get a ton of bear. Any of y'all that live where there is a bear season and I can get a bear license, I would love to shoot a black bear. I want the hide. I want to bring the hide home and tan it, or either have it tanned. I want the bear hide. I want the bear meat. I want to eat bear. They say bear is good. I have never bear. I just would like to bear hunt, and I would like to use something other than a switch. Can I use my muzzle loader? I just thought I'd throw that in there, for good measure. Yeah, we don't have any bears here. Well, we do have some bears here. Very few. They kind of passing through. There's been times I have seen the tracks. I have never actually seen a bear in the wild. I have found tracks down here that I was beyond a shadow of a doubt this is bear tracks. So we have some that pass through here. They have tracking collars on them, and they have reported, yeah, we had bears. They show up on game cameras occasionally, but none that are like staying right here in the area. And no, there is no say. If you shoot a bear here, you will go to jail. You will not pass go. You will not collect $200. American College of Healthcare Science has the classes. I'll have to check into that. In North Carolina, I bet an out-of-state fella it'd cost him a great deal to get a license to do it. My problem would be, here's why I have a problem with a bear hunt. If I just up and said, okay, I'm gonna drive to North Carolina and I'm gonna purchase a license and a tag for a bear, I have only solved 3 problems. The next problem I have is I don't know how to bear hunt. I have never been on a bear hunt. I don't really know where to shoot a bear if I was to. I mean, I got some common sense, you know. I know not to shoot him in the butt, but I don't know much about bear hunt. I don't know how to. I could track a bear if he walked in wet mud. Obviously, I could find scratches on posts, but I don't know anything about bear habitat, bear nature. You know what bear does. I vague bits and pieces. Uh, I don't know where to go to look for a bear. Like, I mean, obviously the woods, but I wouldn't know what I was doing when I got there, in other words, just to put it in one ball of wax. So I would need somebody to kind of help me along the way to kill me a bear. Jason, you are from Mississippi too. Good to hear. What town do you consider home? We call Philadelphia home here. However, I'm about 20 miles from Philadelphia. Reed Tech email is justinpeden@gmail.com. Tupelo, you up there with Dan Davis. He is the trapper up there. Y'all all up in Tupelo together. That is where my canoe come from. Actually, right down there south of Tupelo off the 45. I brought that home with me. You got a friend, Mr. Ladd, that can get me on the right track. We may have to get together on. I don't know if I can swing it this year. I have not had time to really save up any funds to plan out any stuff. I need to get some money set aside for hunting trips and fishing trips, but maybe one day I'll make enough money on here that it won't be a problem, and we'll quit working and we won't do nothing but hunt and fish and hunt my medicinal plants and traipse around in buckskins. What is my favorite muzzleloader? Well, as of right now, the one I built, the little 36 caliber Tennessee Valley kit that I put together. But now I've got a Thompson Center little Hawken that I like. Any of those Hawken guns, though, are nice. I would love to have a Hawken flintlock. I need a flintlock rifle. I'm probably going to build a smoothbore, be my next build. And I want a 54 caliber smoothbore. That way I can shoot round ball in it at short distances, but I can load it with shot. Y'all, I am fixing to have to go down here and see what Roscoe is after. I mean, he is just barking nonstop. So at this point, there's not any shadow of a doubt that there's something down there to be dispatched. I figure there's a possum after my chickens. It's probably not eating a chicken because he's barking at it. So it's up a tree somewhere there. So let me end this. Thank all of you for hanging out with me, y'all. There's still 50 people tuned in right now watching. There's 89 likes. Y'all have been more than generous. I thank y'all for sitting out here. We've been going for 177 minutes. Y'all, that is like 2.5 hours. What time is it? It is 9:57. We started at 7, 8. Man, we was almost here. It's 3 hours, y'all. We have been going here. So it is time to shut things down. Thank all of you for watching and joining in. And we'll see y'all next time. We're going to probably do these Friday nights live every Friday night. But anyway, probably the next video, say I might get a video edited tonight and up tomorrow. I really doubt it. Probably be Sunday morning. You'll see Just in Time pop up. Thank y'all for watching. We'll see y'all. Y'all have a good night. Remember, the best way to do things is the way you like to do it. We'll see y'all. Y'all have a good one.